Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
Love sports.
Sports. When
It comes to Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
Let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
TexAgs Live.
I feel like I should be listening to the theme song from the Jeffersons. You know, we're moving on up.
We will develop men, we will graduate players, and we will win championships on the field.
It's a blessing to be in this position, and we're just thankful to be here. We're thankful to have the opportunity to go out there and play in front of the 12 man.
He is a guy that has gotten better and better and better. He's just got that dog in him.
It's been special. The 12th man this past week was unbelievable.
And this is a real program. It's not fake. This is a real place. And if you want to be really good at football, this is a really good place to be.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies.
Wasn't planning on starting with this, but I'll just bring it up. Got a message from Nolan on Instagram. Okay. Not going to dox him, but he says, I just watched Josh Pate's latest episode where he ranked Kyle Field at number 11. Curious to hear your thoughts. Do you agree with that? Personally, I wasn't convinced by his reasoning for putting Auburn and Florida higher. Many points he used, he could have easily applied to us, yada, yada, yada. Here's my
In what context?
the hardest stadiums to play in. Here's my response. Nolan, thank you for listening, always being a loyal listener. I don't care. And we talk about opinions on this show, and then we kind of give our opinion of it. Until A&M consistently beats big programs at Kyle Field, which, by the way, they've beaten big programs at Kyle Field. Not saying they haven't.
Mm-hmm.
If they have us in the top 10, top 15, whatever, like, it's an opinion.
Yeah.
There's no real metric other than the only metric you can use is scoreboard.
Yeah, and I mean, those things are nice and everything, and I love the atmosphere at Kyle Field. I think
it's the most magical place.
I've been to stadiums all over the country and covered games all over the country. And when your team's good, there's not a better atmosphere than Kyle Field. But is it a hard place to play? It's loud. I mean, it can be extremely loud, but it's loud. I can give you a bunch of places that's loud.
Yeah.
And it comes down to this. I mean, if you're going to get bent out of shape about it, I'm not saying Nolan is, but if anyone's getting bent out of shape about it, then win.
Yep.
If your home field advantage equates to winning at a high level, that's what matters. And at A&M, you can say, yeah, you won a lot of games at home. You did. But you also lost to Notre Dame at home. You lost to Texas at home. You lost to Appalachian State at home.
In the last 5 years. This has all happened in the last 5 years.
So
Yeah.
you
have also beaten number 1 Alabama and number whatever they were LSU when they came to town.
Number 3 or 4 Florida.
Yep.
And it was so loud that the coach at Florida at the time was saying, "Oh, they let in more people than were allowed." And then he showed the shot from above the stadium. No, they didn't. It's just that's how
we're loud.
They get it. It's just it doesn't matter to me. If you're the loudest stadium in the country and your fans are as ruthless and classless as LSU can be, as Florida can be, Texas Tech, somebody once called them classless clowns. They can be all that, West Virginia, all that. And it doesn't make a hill of beans if it doesn't help you win consistently in big games. So who cares?
Now, I will say this. I still hold on to the past. We're going to have a guy on the show later on, Ray Mickens. When he was at A&M, they were 23-1 at Kyle Field. That's what I'm talking about.
I always say, my first year of covering the Aggies was 93 at the Eagle. And the corners were Ray Mickens and Aaron Glenn. And maybe that set a standard that is impossible to reach. So whenever I watch cornerback play, for better or worse, I'm at A&M, I'm pretty much looking at the lens through, okay, I saw what elite quarterback play is.
Right.
I haven't seen it.
So people's opinions, look, we'll discuss them. And if I really disagree, Do I think A&M is the most magical stadium that I've been to in college football, in all of stadiums? Yes, I do. Okay. Is some of that tainted because I'm an Aggie? Maybe. I've heard from people who come to Kyle Field and say the exact same thing. Like, this place is different. This place is great. But if we're talking about a home field advantage, I think there is a legit home field advantage at Kyle Field. Is it number 3, 4, or 5? I don't know how I don't know how you break it down other than, are you winning most of your games at home?
And that's all that matters.
And do you win consistently against programs that are in the same ballpark as you? And I think last year, even though Texas was a much better team record-wise, at the time we had a chance for the exact same thing, get to the SEC championship game.
Yeah. And look, Texas was a good team, obviously. Notre Dame was a good team, obviously. So if you have this great home field advantage, is it only good for teams below that level?
I think home field advantage should help you with the harder teams.
Again, you lost to Appalachian State at home.
But we both think there is an advantage to come to Kyle Field, like for us, for A&M.
There's not a better game day atmosphere. I think maybe I'm have two different categories.
Sure,
there.
I get what you're saying.
So atmosphere on a game day, especially when your team is good. I've been almost everywhere, and there's not a better game day atmosphere than A&M. But Aggies typically aren't the ones that are getting drunk and throwing stuff at you and being like Colorado or Miami, really bad fans. They don't do that typically, right? And if somebody does, they're often corrected by other Aggies. And no, we don't do it, stuff like that. And that's great.
Mm-hmm.
And they're loud, and that's great. They're incredibly loud. I remember one time a guy from UCLA made some kind of comment about it not being that loud. Maybe it was a Missouri quarterback too, or somebody.
Oh, last year it was
Brady Cook made him mad.
It was Brady Cook. Yeah.
Did he?
Yeah.
And then they find out that maybe
the FAFO.
Yeah, maybe they shouldn't have said anything. So he's saying there's 130 something teams, and he's saying A&M's 11, which okay, well, you're still in the top 10%, he's saying. Doesn't matter. Be such a great home field advantage that your team wins more.
Watch this. If A&M goes 10-2 this year, will they go up on that list? I guarantee you they will.
Probably, depending on where the losses come.
Don't go 0 in November, and you're going up on that list.
And you're going to say, like on the surface, I would say Auburn. I mean, I've been to Jordan-Hare. I can't tell you how many times. And then I started thinking about it. I saw one of the worst Auburn teams ever beat A&M.
We've seen it a couple times.
I saw it last year. Last year was a bad Auburn team, and they beat A&M.
And then a couple years ago, the worst.
The worst. Yeah. And they beat A&M. So what am I going to say about, how can you say Auburn? Well, when Auburn consistently kicks your butt at Auburn when they're an inferior team.
That's the home field advantage.
So what am I going to say?
Yep. So it's supposed to be hard, right? The season, all season, and the SEC is supposed to be hard. So here's a couple of thoughts for you. So Athlon, they've been doing these lists every day, and I've been getting them. And so I'm looking at some of these lists. Okay, they have Florida as the number 5 offensive line in the country. A&M plays them by the way. Texas, the number 8 offensive line in the country, the number 3 running back room.
You're number 8.
With a new offensive line.
With 4 new starters.
Yep.
Okay.
And then Notre Dame, the number 1 offensive line.
Number 1.
And the number 2 running back room in the country. So basically 2 of A&M's hardest road games not only will be potentially against top 5, top 10 teams, right? But also some of the strongest running back offensive line combos in the country, along with A&M's.
I knew Notre Dame's offensive line was considered really good. I didn't know they were considered number 1 in the nation.
Well, Athlon.
Yeah.
Again, people's opinions.
I write for them.
They got some good people there.
But I don't know who I would say is the number 1. Okay. I've been hearing Alabama's is supposed to be really, really good. But okay. like you said, it's not supposed to be easy.
What it says about Notre Dame, they fell short of the national championship, but starters Anthony Knapp, Billy Schrauth, and Emil Wagner are all returning for the 2025 campaign. Additionally, players like Ashton Craig. This is actually from On3, taking it from the athlon part of it, with several other backups last season stepping into significant roles.
A lot of backups, a lot of guys who were starters last year, who would have been backups this year, transferred.
Yep.
I think 3 of them. So, but yeah, okay. They've got a big time O-line. You know, what's A&M going to do about it?
Yep. Well, they had a big time O-line last year when we underestimated. Notre Dame did.
We thought A&M was going to have a significant advantage at the line of scrimmage, and for about 3.5 quarters, it kind of looked that way.
So when we start thinking about next season and the matchups, and okay, Florida, I don't know if they've got one of the top 10 offensive lines in the country. Athlon seems to think so. Okay, cool. But you look at some of the teams they're playing against. Texas is going to get a lot of the accolades. There's a reason they're a top 5, top 10 team. They've recruited at that level the last 3 years. Okay, and Notre Dame, add Florida to the mix, add LSU to the mix with not their offensive line, but what their offense could potentially be. A&M, that schedule, which I think is manageable at home, just overall, you're taking on some elite units as you're supposed to in the SEC.
Yeah, and quite frankly, you're supposed to be elite. Now, I don't know if they will be. There still are, like we say, there's questions about A&M's defensive line because of the guys they lost. But there's all kinds of hopes that Albert Regis is at least as good as he was last year. I keep waiting for DJ Hicks to make the step from, hey, he at first he was a legitimate contributor, then I'm a solid player. Now the star that he's projected to be, and then the guys, all those many guys that came in. I struggle with, is it Tyler Onyedem? Him, T.O. There's Dayan Hayes from who looked so good in the spring game from Colorado. The kid from Georgia has another one of the names that I struggle to pronounce, Mabenga or something.
Sam Mpenga.
Yeah. So I mean, how many of these guys are going to, step up and be really good?
Right. Well, consider where they're coming from. Colorado, they don't have the recent history, but Georgia obviously does, and A&M got some Georgia players this year. That LSU. So consider where players are coming from, what they did, and what they could do with our system. Here's another thing. So Athlon had A&M as the number 3 offensive line in the country.
Okay.
Again, I'm not arguing with people's opinions. Great, I'll take it. Right. If they're in that conversation, I'm happy. Number 4 best running back room in the country.
Okay.
Take it. Whatever.
Top 5, yeah.
Yeah. But I'm doing something that I acted like I wasn't going to do. All right. Here's going to come. I don't care about people's opinions until I care about people's opinions.
Okay.
Spencer Davis of Saturday Down South does not have Le'Veon Moss as one of his top 5 rushing leaders for 2025. Now, you could say to yourself, well, maybe he won't be because he's coming back from injury, or maybe he won't be because he's sharing the rock with some dudes. But if you look at what he had for, I don't think I have it here, what he had for his top 5 list, he had Texas on his top 5 list with Trey Wisner.
Quinn Wise?
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's going to, at least theoretically, share carries with C.J. Baxter.
Correct.
He's come back from injury.
So it's the same story in a way. One wasn't expected to be the starter, because of injury, became the guy, was fantastic. And then the other was the starter at A&M, got hurt, but the other guy who was potentially could have been a starter got hurt before the season started.
I believe Le'Veon Moss is a 1,000-yard back if given sufficient carries. And if he doesn't reach 1,000 yards, I'm feeling like it'll probably be because he has 600 to 700 and Ruben Owens has 600 to 700.
I'm totally fine with that. Last year, Amari Daniels had about 600.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to see those numbers a little higher. But if both are giving you 600-700 yards plus whatever you get from Amari, I think
maybe it's 800.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I'm not arguing the numbers. I'm just saying I'd like to see it a little bit higher than that. But if they're getting it done on the ground and they're all healthy, I think that unit will be higher.
Yeah, I kind of see those guys. I'm not saying they're as good as the Greg Hill, Rodney Thomas, Leland McElroy trio.
Right.
But they may be the deepest at running back since then.
Do you think they as a group can be better than what we saw a couple years ago with Spiller and A-Chain? No. Now, A-Chain was a grand slam. But I'm just saying as a group.
Well, we're talking about 3 guys instead of 2.
Sure.
I think if you went too deep, probably not. Again, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I think, not production-wise, but I think Devon A-Chain was the best running back I've seen here. Now, if I took those from those 4 guys that I just mentioned, so we're going to take Leland out of this equation of the running backs that I've covered of those 4, the best one, in my opinion, was Devon A-Chain. Mm-hmm. The next one was Greg Hill. The next one was Rodney Thomas. The next one was C.J. Spiller.
Isaiah Spiller. All right, let's do this.
Isaiah Spiller. Why did I say C.J.?
Yeah.
C.J. Spiller was a receiver at Clemson. I'm sorry, Isaiah Spiller.
We favor our Spiller.
I would say I would put C.J. Spiller lower than Isaiah Spiller.
Yeah, I would agree. This is TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're in the Rollo Insurance Studio. It is the Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. Trivia question.
Okay.
What do you think I'm going to ask you?
I have no idea.
Where are we sitting?
Oh, that's not trivial. We're sitting in the Holistic Planning Cool Zone.
It's cool, isn't it? Actually, it's a little warm today.
It's a little warm today.
Yeah, there might be some sweat stains coming.
It's not quite as cool as it was yesterday, but it's still cool here in the cool zone.
This area is better. All right. If you want to be a part of the conversation, call us up on the Buppies Catering hotline, 979-693-1150. You can text that number as well. We go around the room, left to right, behind the glass, and Mr. Panic, Cade, Chaos, Bickham. What's up, buddy?
Look, everything's going fantastic and swimmingly today so far. So, it's good vibes only back here.
When's the last time a man said the word swimmingly? It's been a minute, right? It's like a 1980s, 70s thing.
I don't know that I've ever heard it.
Yeah, I don't think.
I know the term.
I've heard it on TV shows.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, in real life, I don't think.
In real life, do you watch a lot of TV, Cade?
I do watch a lot of TV, but I like to keep my
maybe it's Colorado
lingo versatile.
Oh well, that's pretty versatile. That's versatile like a skip.
Got awkward.
Like skipping.
Jacob, tell us something, please. Anything. Help us.
So on my mind are the Houston Astros, honestly, because they just finished up a little sweep of the Phillies. They only allowed 1 run over the 3-game set. And the Matthew Dawson Chicago Cubs are about to come to town, but that'll be a great series. But I think the Astros will clean it up.
You can't kill them. You can't kill that team. Eventually, they get that. I don't know. You can't call it a dynasty because it's only 2 World Series, but as close to a dynasty era, I guess, in today's baseball.
Well, they've been dominating the West.
The Dodgers are definitely they've won 2. The Astros have won 2. So yeah, I guess the Dodgers.
Yeah, I mean they're dominating the West, no doubt. Except for that one year where the Rangers won the World Series.
Congratulations on that.
Yeah.
I was actually happy for you.
I was too. Now I can die saying I saw it actually happen.
Yeah.
Anything's possible.
Until the report comes out. All right, let's go to the angry elephant.
What report are they like? Are they like using?
I was just saying, you never know.
Are they cheating somehow?
I mean, you never know. Like we found out
about high tech to cheat some way.
The Astros thing. The Astros thing broke in 2020. Okay, it became a big deal in 2020.
Yeah,
I'm just saying it's been.
What I always said about that as a Rangers fan who doesn't. I don't hate the Astros. I'm ambivalent.
Yeah.
I thought that was the most overblown, ridiculous thing. I said, so what? I mean, every baseball has always not only allowed, if you want to call it cheating, I don't know if it was, but they've embraced it.
And then they
Gaylord Perry?
And then they had congressional hearings to stop the steroid era.
Yeah. that they knew was going on.
But they acted like they didn't.
I remember even George Bush, when he owned the Rangers, talking about it. And everybody, no, there's not a problem with that. And they loved it because that year with all the home runs with Sosa McGuire boosted attendance so much that they were loving it.
I remember that clearly, 1998. All right, let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Ben Faletra. Did I say it right?
Yeah.
What's up, Ben?
Man,
Nothing much. Good morning.
Faletra. Is that how they say it?
Yeah, sometimes.
So
Depends on the area.
Not to pick on you, but you're familiar with cheating.
Wow.
Well, not because of you, but your favorite team is?
Yeah, the New England Patriots.
Which, by the way,
Well,
I don't
again,
have a problem with anything they did.
So what? You mean the ball was just a little bit underinflated?
So what? They recorded people.
If you're recording other people's practice that are supposed to, now there you got to have straw line at that.
Do you?
Yeah.
That one I can't really argue with.
Yeah. I love Tom Brady, though. So are you on Team Brady or Team Belichick?
I'm on Team
I'm
Giselle.
firm on one can't be one without the other. So they both built each other up.
But are you mad that they broke it up? Because they could have had at least one more.
No, we had enough time. I mean, what happened. So
okay. Were you rooting
okay.
for the Bucks when they won it all?
I was rooting for Tom Brady.
Okay.
I wouldn't say I was rooting for the Bucks. I don't care about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers whatsoever.
That's a diehard.
So he was rooting for the Bucks. He just didn't know
he
it.
just can't say it out loud.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't. He's such a Patriots fan. He can't say it.
For the. If you're rooting for Tom Brady, you therefore were rooting for the Bucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
I'm going to say this. I told you this before. When the Rockets played the Suns in the 93 and 94, 95 playoffs, okay?
Barkley.
My favorite athlete of all time. I was rooting for him to dominate and lose.
But you're still rooting for the team.
I was rooting for the Rockets.
Right.
But I was rooting for Barkley to have an amazing game.
You wanted to see Barkley score a lot but lose.
Correct. Yeah. Anyway.
That's a little different because say Brady went to an NFC team, I'd be rooting for him to do good and lose.
Okay.
You know? So,
I get that. I feel that. So you're only here for a little while. You're interning with us for like 4 or 5 weeks, and so we wanted to get you up there at the Social Center. Tell us a little bit about you beyond being from the New England area.
Well, like you said, from the New England area, came down here just for this, and I love college sports. Love the Aggies now much more than I already did, but yeah, it's been a great time. I've played football my whole life, so I love football, and yeah.
Why don't you give us one report? We're late for a break, so let's get one report.
Yeah, of course. Well, we were talking about baseball. Former A&M baseball player and All-American Dylan Rock is currently playing for the Lexington Legends in the Atlantic League of Professional Baseball Clubs, which is an independent baseball league. And just 2 days ago, he broke the record for most consecutive games with a home run in the ALPB.
He broke it again.
Yeah, after hitting his 7th straight, and then he doubled down his own record yesterday, and now the record stands at 8 consecutive games with a home run.
Wow.
Rockadelier?
Rockadelier.
That wasn't based on Dylan Rock, or was it?
Yeah, it's Dylan Rock, I think. Yeah, and Tunisia Delier?
Yeah.
That was my alter ego, my
like
my alias was
Eminem
Rock Adelier.
has Slim Shady and Eminem.
But you had to say it the certain way.
Yeah.
It was Rock Adelier. Rock.
Let's hit a break here. We'll come back to you in a minute. OB?
Yeah.
I don't have a transition for 1775.
You don't need one.
I don't, but I want one.
I might go today.
Okay.
I'd invited Alan Cannon, but he's
busy.
He's busy, and
look at his last few days.
So I may have to see if I can't
working.
If I can't find some company. If not, I may go there anyway.
I think you can go by yourself and talk to him.
I'm a I don't mind going solo.
Why not?
I said I don't mind going
because
solo.
You'll talk to anybody.
That's true. Plus, when you're sitting down and you're breaking bread, or in this case, barbecue.
Yeah.
But not just barbecue, amazing Texas barbecue. Everybody wants. All you got to do is say, "Man, this is really good, isn't it?" Everybody, or "How's yours?" or "What do you think?" And the conversation is going to come from there. And basically, what you're going to do is, even if you don't know the next person at the next table, you're gonna find a common bond.
Yeah.
Because you're reveling in this glory that is 1775 barbecue.
They got the brisket Philly. They got the Brazos Spuds.
Yeah.
They got raspberry, chipotle, pork belly, burnt ends. Ooh. Look at that face you just made. Smoked barbacoa tacos.
Really? They got those too?
Yeah, they got it all, buddy.
Man, they got it all.
They got it all. 1775txbbq.com is the website, or call them up, 979-492-6241. It is what?
It is amazing. It's 1775.
Thank you.
What's up, TexAgs? This commercial break is brought to you by my good friends over at Aggieland Chevrolet, the official automotive sponsor of TexAgs.com and me, Billy Liucci. Greg Gunn is the proud owner of Aggieland Chevrolet and invites you to visit the dealership to experience true Aggie hospitality. From their friendly staff to the experienced service team, Aggieland Chevrolet is TexAgs approved. Check out the dealership off of Highway 6 in Bryan or go to AggielandChevrolet.com and tell them Billy Liucci sent you by.
And we're back. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. He's OB. I'm David Nuno. Time to bank on it, presented by Vera Bank. Hard to bank on stuff, OB, when there isn't stuff going on.
I'm almost, there's right. There's nothing going on, and I'm almost tempted to just, and I shouldn't, because I don't have any inside information on something, but just with the way recruiting's going, banking on Elko to
get another one,
and his amazing staff to come up and get another recruiter, another commitment. I wouldn't know who it would be. I don't even know if there's anybody close.
You could bank on stuff. I mean, it's a guess.
Well, what else could I bank on?
I'm going to bank on something for you. Okay? I don't think you'll agree with me. I'm banking on something that won't happen.
Okay.
Ready? All right? And awful announcing, somebody's going to clip this and send it if it does happen. Okay? So,
okay.
CBS Sports is predicting for Texas A&M to play in the Texas Bowl versus Baylor. And I'm predicting that that's wrong.
Isn't that almost
every year?
Almost an annual thing now.
People predict that.
And it's always like Texas Tech, Baylor, somebody else in Texas.
Yeah. A&M's going to have a better season than that.
Yeah, I think so. But if you go 8-4, you deserve the Texas Bowl.
No, I feel like the Texas Bowl is worse than that. Because I think when A&M went 7-5 is when they got the Texas Bowl a couple years ago. I think 8-4, you're talking more Vegas, which
I love Vegas. I do. That bowl was so poorly operated.
I hated everything about that bowl.
Everything other than being in Vegas, I thought was.
And when we were in Vegas, wasn't even that good.
Yeah, and we had.
Where Billy was in Vegas was awesome.
Well, yeah. Go figure.
The gym at his place was like I wanted to sleep there. It was great. Our place, I feel like I think that you can't smoke in Vegas, but I feel like the people were smoking.
Our place was pretty lame. Plus, that everybody was the workers were striking.
Oh yeah.
So every time you try to go in and out,
remember that lady who gave me a hard time for wearing tight shorts?
Yeah. I'm wondering why she noticed.
She was looking.
Yeah, I guess so.
Hey now. Anyway, I'm banking on that's not going to be the case. Okay.
Okay.
I'm banking on a Florida Bowl. It could be the Gator Bowl. I hope not. Although I don't mind it.
Where's the national championship game this year?
Where's the national championship game this year, Ben?
I'm not sure.
Are you banking on that?
I do have something I am banking on, though.
What's that?
I do have something I am banking on, though.
Okay, what are you banking on?
I'm banking on at least 2 non-quarterbacks being in New York for the Heisman Trophy this year.
Huh.
So the final 3. I think at least 2 non-quarterbacks are going to be there.
So that'd be Jeremiah Love and Singleton, probably.
And Jeremiah Smith.
Okay, Jeremiah Smith.
So that's at least 2. It could be no quarterbacks at all.
Oh,
so you're, huh?
They've got to go to the national championship game.
Miami.
Yeah,
Miami.
So it's Florida Bowl.
They got it.
I like Miami. Wait. I like Miami Beach.
Yeah. Hard Rock Stadium does nothing for me. It's in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay.
But it's like 20 miles from anything.
Yeah.
But we had fun.
Yeah.
No, but for real, to close out this segment, it's going to be. I don't see A&M having that year. I think Texas Bowl is 7-5 type of year.
Yeah, probably somewhere in between. Somewhere in between Houston
between 7
and
and 5 and the national championship.
Yes.
Or you're saying a site in between.
No, but if you're somewhere between 7 and 5 and the national championship, and which would probably be somewhere in between, unless you end up in Arizona or the Rose Bowl.
All right, let's hit a break. We'll come back with more. I've got a question, OB, when we come back. Actually, I got a couple different topics to get into when we come back. Right now, a moment for Caldwell Country Chevrolet, Highway 21 in Caldwell, online, caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. If you're looking for a selection and it won't break the bank, you should start your search at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Go online, you'll see their great selection of vehicles, get a feel for the pricing, and also you've heard me talk about their great customer service. When you go there, you're going to get it. They are locally owned and an Aggie alumni team ready to roll out the red carpet for you. Every vehicle purchase comes with a free oil change for life. That's thousands of dollars of savings on your vehicle when you get it, right? Like that is just the way to go. And the beauty is, not only is it not far away, we'll get into that here in a second, but they're going to take great care of you in the fact that they can pick you up and for all their service customers, right? So you get the free oil change and you also get picked up. That's the way to do it when we're talking about Caldwell Country Chevrolet. About a 15-minute drive, the edge of Bryan to the beginnings of Caldwell a short conversation away, but you'll see the difference when you step on the lot and you do business with the great people at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell, online, caldwellcountrychevrolet.com.
All right, guys, let's talk about some new partners, Aggieland Hydration and Injectables. They're Aggie owned and operated. They are an IV, mobile IV hydration company that was founded back in 2024. I met with Sheldon and Danny over the last week, and they're awesome people. They really know what they're doing. They're proud to serve Bryan College Station with awesome services like IV hydration, Botox, and even some weight loss options. Whether you're looking for a quick boost of hydration or dehydration preventative, they can tailor an IV cocktail specific to your needs. And on a busy weekend, I know some of you guys might be partying a little bit too much. If that's the case, an IV can be one of the easiest ways to ensure you're receiving all those necessary vitamins and minerals to make you feel better. Their overall mission is to bring a more personalized and accessible wellness option to the broader range of clientele here in the Bryan College Station and Brazos Valley area. To book an appointment or inquire about it, just call them up or text them. 979-217-1561. Again, it's Aggieland Hydration and Injectables. Check them out. It's our friends at Aggieland Hydration and Injectables.
This headline caught my attention.
All right.
Nothing to do with college sports. I'll just bring it up quickly and we'll move on. Dylan Brooks wants restraining order from baby mama over threat to cut his fingers off.
Wow.
Cut his fingers, excuse me. She threatened to slice his fingers as an act of vengeance. They share 2 kids. And her message to him said something to the effect of, I hope they cut off your bleeping fingers one by one so you can never play basketball again. That doesn't seem like it's going to be a nice divorce.
Were they ever married?
Maybe not divorce. Breakup. How about that?
You know, I would think there's a lesson to be learned here.
Uh-oh.
And first of all, I would say, you know, maybe get to know your woman before you have kids with them. Find out if she's the type that,
would slice your fingers
yeah,
off?
that would, you know.
I've never dated somebody that has threatened me to do that. I've only dated one person, basically, so I haven't, and Elizabeth has never threatened that.
No, she doesn't strike me as the type that would, you know.
Maybe not.
I might have, you know, dated some that, you know, sleep with one eye open.
Here's a topic that is a little bit more on topic.
It could be worse, you know. I mean, it could have been Lorena Bobbitt.
Do you know anything about that? Why don't you Google that for a minute? And just your body language will tell me a lot more.
Yeah. So it could have been worse.
Body language. Anyway.
At least, I mean, she's only threatening to cut off his fingers.
Just what is she famous for? And don't tell us what she's famous for. Just read it. And I would love the camera on his face when he gets to it. Let's see if we can, if he knows how to Google.
I'm getting a whole lot of just music right now.
Okay. This didn't go as planned.
Yeah. Why would you get music with that?
No, that was just a mistake.
What kind of music are you getting? Are you getting organ music?
Do you see what she did?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
1993.
That was a tremendous joke, and it just went. Are you getting organ music?
I got it. I still don't think he knows what happened. Do you have what happened yet?
I sure do.
Yeah. Thoughts on it?
She's evolved into an advocate for survivors of domestic violence now.
I think that's.
Okay, well, that's.
Yeah, I don't think that was the.
That's not the.
Yeah.
No, that's
you
not
buried the lead.
That's not the main part. But yeah.
You buried the lead.
Okay.
Anyway.
So Dylan Brooks.
No, we're gonna actually talk college athletics here.
Okay.
We are TexAgs. Okay.
Yeah.
Jay Billis, friend of the show.
Okay.
Love his analysis. He predicts that with the House settlement, coaches' salaries are going to be capped as well.
Capped?
Capped. The one thing that I think, this is what he said. The one thing I think people aren't thinking about is if Congress comes in and they're going to limit the players, they're not going to let the coaches make the same kind of money they're making. They're going to say, all right, you get a cap now too. So the head coach at Alabama, you're not getting $12 million while the players are getting limited. You're going to be limited as well. We're going to limit things across the board and make things a little bit more sane. I think that's a reasonable possibility that could happen.
They have a salary cap in every professional sport, I think. Well, to some degree, not baseball. Do the coaches have salary caps?
No, but
just saying.
But is it NIL or is it pay for play?
I think the salary cap and the NIL is two completely different things.
Yeah, but they're not employees.
Well, I don't know. I don't think that. What cap is he going to put on the coaches' salaries?
I think what it could happen just
look. Listen, I back in 2012 or 13, I was on with Gabe, and I made this, and I got ridiculed on TexAgs. They started a whole thread about me, telling me shut up and all this, and I said they should pay coaches like $2 million as a base salary, and everything else should be based on performance.
Yeah.
You know, merit-based, or not merit-based, but like bonuses. But I know that's not going to happen. And you know what's be the first university that would buck that trend?
Who's that?
Texas A&M. Jackie Sherrill, Jimbo Fisher.
Yep.
You know, A&M has a history of saying, hey, you know what? We're going to do what we need to do.
I could see salaries going down because where's the money going to come from? If all this other money is going to helping pay for these programs, eventually unless you have a bunch of more wealthy people become donors, and all right, I'm going to join the team now too. Here's another $1 billion. Like I just think because of that, we may not see. I don't know if it's going to come down. I think there's going to be a market value for a Kirby Smart level head coach, right? One of these top guys. But I don't know if the mid-level guys, because remember for a while you see mid-level guys pass the top guys, and then the top guys would get a new salary. That's where I think you could see it going down.
What I think will happen is, I don't know how much more coaches can make. If Nick Saban decides, you know what, I want to get back into it, but Alabama has a coach, and he puts himself out there in a bidding war, I bet he's going to get a heck of a salary.
He'd be worth it. Would he be worth it in today's world, though?
Are you going to bet against him?
He didn't win in the NIL era. He didn't win. He won, but not win.
Are you going to bet against him?
No, never.
Okay.
There's certain people you don't bet against, and Nick is one of them.
Yeah.
In our lifetime, who are those folks?
Well, for a while, Urban Meyer was one, and collegiately.
Yeah.
And I think, I wouldn't bet against Kirby Smart.
Okay.
But I think what you'll see is, again, I think you're going to see coaches that don't get fired as quickly.
Yeah.
I think maybe assistant coaches' salaries may start curtailing a little bit. And maybe there will be these coaches' salaries that'll say, okay, I'm still paying you $10 million, but if you want to get $15 million, it's all going to be based on, performance and bonuses.
Yeah.
I always thought that A&M, I've said this before, that with Jimbo, they made the mistake, obviously, when they said, hey, we're already paying you $7.5 million a year, but we're going to give you $9 million because you had a good year. And I know they're worried about LSU taking you, but you're supposed to have a good year. If you want to give somebody a bonus, now that's a different thing. So you got to get your salary. And this is kind of what he's saying. If he put out there a figure of what that salary cap on the coach is, then I might say, oh, yeah, maybe. If they say, okay, you can't make more than $10 million of base salary because somebody's going to pay their coach.
Yeah. And if they can, they should.
Whatever it takes, if I can get a coach that can consistently win and is the best coach, I'm going to pay him. And if I can get him to come to my place.
In college football today, though, there's only one name that you can bank on like that. And that's Kirby, right?
Who didn't win last year.
Year. But I'm saying, if you're going to bank on somebody, like, if I bring this guy in,
you talk about
quote unquote, I think I'm guaranteed 10 wins a season and contend for a national championship.
If you're a really good coach, and I'm not even saying a great coach, if you're a really good coach at Georgia, I think you have to be almost incompetent to fail at Georgia. Now, there's a difference between failing and, dominate.
Right.
Right. But it's not, they have another Division I school in Georgia, and that's Georgia Tech. But it's kind of like Vanderbilt. Nobody from Georgia goes there, or very few. It's people from other places. Now, they're better than Vanderbilt. But the point is, you're as close to being the only major conference or major football program in the state that's just teeming with great football players.
Let's set a break here. We'll come back with Around Aggieland. Right now, Rollo Insurance, the Rollo Insurance Group builds lasting relationships through education. They help you understand what you're buying and the why behind it with expertise in everything from home and auto to business and specialty coverage. Their independent agents provide a tailored option for you to meet your specific needs. They'll take the time to explain the policy in plain language, ensuring you're never left wondering about your coverage. The educational approach empowers you to make informed decisions in protecting your family, your home, and your business. Many clients discover better protection at competitive rates simply because they understand all of their options, and this is what Rollo Insurance specializes in. Experience the difference with one of their 60-plus offices in the great state of Texas or anywhere in the United States. Visit them at rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs, rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs, 888-44-ROLLO. That is 888-44-ROLLO. Flow Insurance Studio. Time for Around Aggieland with Callie Garner. Hello, Kalita.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm right. How are you?
I'm great. I heard you were stalking me this morning.
Yeah, I'm not gonna tell you how I know.
Yeah, I have
Not
no
in a
idea.
creepy way, like in a father way. That's like, what is she up to? That kind of way.
Okay. All right.
I was on Facebook and then your little green light was on. That's the only reason I knew.
Oh. Well, yeah, it was. I got up early this morning. But you're up early every morning. So.
One of my favorite things is looking at Facebook memories right around this time because there's always something from like 10 years ago with the kids.
Yeah.
So
and it was around your boy's birthday, right?
Exactly right.
17.
Yeah, they're old now.
Yeah, they are. Not as old as me.
What do you have going on?
We have some football news. The Aggies landed 2 commits this week, both offensive linemen in Avery Morcho and Zayden Crimpen. Morcho is 6'6", 285 out of Missouri City, and Crimpen is 6'4", 280 out of Prosper. And I know Bronny and Liucci have both talked about the potential of these two and how they are going to be key contributors to the Aggie O-line in the future. On the baseball front, the Aggies added Juan Vargas from Tennessee Tech, a sophomore right-hander who posted a 3.19 ERA last season in over 42 innings. He tallied 56 strikeouts and averaged 11.9 strikeouts per 9 innings. They also added catcher Zane Becker from Arkansas, who hit .258 last year and adds some solid depth at a much-needed position for the Aggies. In the major leagues, former Texas A&M reliever Jake Polish made his major league debut on Saturday with the Chicago White Sox against the Toronto Blue Jays. The left-hander worked the 8th inning and allowed 2 runs. He signed with the White Sox as an undrafted free agent in 2022, and he becomes the 65th Aggie to reach the big leagues. He posted a 1.19 ERA and a 4-1 record in 15 appearances this season in Double-A in Birmingham, and during his lone season at Texas A&M in 2022, he was a key bullpen arm in the Aggies College World Series run. He had 5 saves and 73 strikeouts in over 60.1 innings. And lastly, on the women's tennis front, former Texas A&M standout Carson Brandstein earned a spot in the Wimbledon Championship singles main draw following a successful run through qualifying at Roehampton, and the 2-time All-American and 2023 Texas A&M graduate secured her debut at the All-England Club by winning 3 consecutive 3-set matches. She was a standout at Texas A&M, and I know a lot of us enjoyed watching her play, and she's already making some noise at the next level, so we're excited to see what she does this next weekend.
Calita, great stuff as always. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And OB, I'm sad to say you're taking a couple days off. I'm sad because for me, it's not as fun.
I'll be out next week.
Yep. I'll be working the first part of next week. And then, believe it or not, I believe Luke and Dawson. Callie, don't go anywhere. I got something for you. Luke and Dawson are hosting Thursday.
Well, I'll be back the following, not next Tuesday, but following Tuesday.
The following Tuesday.
Yeah.
Okay. A little disappointed. And then when I get back, we're headed to where?
We're headed to Atlanta for the SEC Media Days. It's already that time.
Yeah. And I'm banking on another one. Next year, Nashville. That's my take.
Nashville's a much better place to have it than Atlanta. And Dallas was great last year.
I love Dallas, but it could have been better. All right. Thank you, OB. When we come back, Ray Mickens, TexAgs Live.
Let's talk a little Snaps clothing. David Nuno here, and I love wearing Snaps clothing everywhere. I've got the flannel on right now. You've seen me in the Tailgater collection with the A&M gear. It is fantastic. If you see me around town with my sons, Christian and Cruz, they've got a bunch of Snaps gear. When they have big games for Consol, they wear nice clothes, so they wear their Snap stuff. And I'm telling you, with baseball season here, let's all kind of go looking stylish and fit to the games there at Olsen wearing the Snaps clothing. As a reminder, they are the only official licensed Texas A&M Pearl Snaps maker out there. Their Tailgater collection is built for game day with breathable, moisture-wicking fabrics to keep you comfortable while you rep your Aggies in style. Now, whether you're watching the game from home or maybe you're in attendance, you're tailgating, whatever it may be, you got to make sure you head to snapsclothing.com to see everything they have to offer. It is fashionable, it is awesome, and you're going to love it.
And we're back. It is TexAgs Live. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're in the Rollo Insurance Studio. I believe we're working on getting Ray Mickens on the Zoom. Is he there? He is, so we'll get him here in a second. While we wait for that to be set up, let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Ben, you got something for us?
Yeah. Global payment company PayPal announced on Thursday that it has inked a deal with the Big Ten and the Big 12 conferences to allow student athletes to receive compensation through the company's platform. The new agreement will allow Big Ten and Big 12 athletic departments to dispense these payments using PayPal exclusively.
Okay, good stuff there. Appreciate that. Let's go to the Buppy's Catering Hotline. An Aggie great, an Aggie legend joining the program, Ray Mickens. What's up, Ray?
Hey, what's going on, fellas? How y'all doing?
Great, man. So first off, apologies. When I texted you yesterday about doing the show, I didn't think about the West Coast. You're up early, man. I'm sorry.
Nah, yeah, no problems, man. I normally get up early anyway, so, I've been up at like 3, 4 a.m. out here.
So the guy who's running the Social Center for us today is from the New England area, and he is a huge Patriots fan, so he was super excited for you to be joining the show. And, of course, all of our Aggie fans are as well. So just how's life treating you? I know your business, you got, restaurant business. You got a bunch of stuff going on. Kind of catch us up.
Yeah. Life has been great, man. I do a lot of traveling in my field. So I'm involved in airport, restaurants, food and beverage, bars and lounges. And so we're in about 10 airports across the country. DFW is my base. So I live in Westlake, right outside of the DFW airport. And I travel a lot. Nashville is our second biggest, and LaGuardia and DCA. So I enjoy doing that. I've been doing that since I retired in 2007. I also have some commercial real estate and residential real estate. Outside of all that, 4 kids. I was a girls basketball coach back in the, after I retired. My daughter went to college, Boston College, and then transferred to SMU. She's 30 years old now. And then I got a son that just got drafted by the Chargers. He went to Clemson University. So, I couldn't be better.
I was going to ask you about your son, because I remember articles when AG took over at the Jets. There was like, maybe RJ ends up there. But he's happy with the Chargers, huh?
Oh yeah. Harbaugh is an excellent coach, man, and he's won on every level. And so they have a great team. And yeah, it would have been a fairy tale story for RJ to go to the Jets, but the NFL is not a fairy tale story. So, you never know. Free agency comes up, in 3 or 4 years. If he's playing well, he may get a shot, or the Jets may get a shot at him.
So I want to get back to that here in a second. But how did you get into the restaurant business? How did you get into airports? What was the tie? How did you end up doing that part?
I guess I kind of fell into it, being in New York. So I'm a business major, first off. When I graduated from Texas A&M, I had a degree in accounting. And, I'm in New York playing ball. A lot of opportunities as an NFL player come across your desk. And you normally just kind of, throw them in the trash or put them off. But this opportunity came from a trusted source. And it was an airport opportunity. I invested in it, and then I realized that, man, there was a lot of money to be made. And you as a competitor, you see people doing something wrong, and you're like, man, I could do this a whole lot better. And that's just really kind of how it grew. I know numbers, and I like business, and then playing for Parcells and Belichick, you're week to week anyway. So, you're always looking for what that plan B is.
So I want to go back to AG for a minute, and I remember an interview you did a while back that you talked about his leadership as a player. So I'm just curious, did you see coaching qualities from him when you all played together? What was it about Aaron that you're not surprised that he's doing this at this level right now?
No, yeah, I'm definitely not surprised. It's really his approach to the game, his perspective. The being detail oriented. I think, there's some, it's not like he was trying to force himself to lead us. I think he was a natural leader, and you can really see that. And so I played my best football as a teammate of his in college and in New York. So I know that it's a culture thing that he brought to the room that really resonated with me. And I think that you could see he would be an excellent coach one day, just from the knowledge that he had, but also what he brought from a culture standpoint.
How great was it that you guys got to play together so long, right? College and the pros, you had this relationship, this friendship, and this chemistry on the field that was able to flourish at multiple stops.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a blessing. I mean, it was an amazing experience for me. We had some Hall of Fame coaches and, obviously Hall of Fame players at Texas A&M and in New York. The fact that he was dialed in, we all were, be honest with you, it was a culture of guys being dialed in. We all had talent, but talent alone doesn't get you to the top. You got to be dialed in. You got to do the extra. And, Aaron, he would always going to the field, always staying after practice, always, hey, DBs, let's watch some film after practice, just a player-only film session. Those things are very important to the success of a player and a team. We had some great teams too in New York and and with A&M and just I can't say enough about culture, because it's not always just talent. You have talent and culture. You have something special.
Talk to me about Brady when you got there. I mean, he was already a Super Bowl champion, but he wasn't the Brady that we think of right now, like the GOAT. I think the conversation started happening around that time. But what do you remember about his work ethic and how he led that team?
Yeah, it's crazy because, back at A&M, when we played Michigan in the Alamo Bowl, Brady was a backup quarterback. He wasn't even on the game plan. And then we go to New York with the Jets, and we're playing against New England the first few years. And Drew Bledsoe's the starter, a future Hall of Famer, and Brady's a backup. He's not even on a game plan. And then all of a sudden, I think it was 98 or 99, we hit Bledsoe. He goes out of the game. Brady comes in, and, the rest is history. Playing against him at that point was very frustrating. It was very tough to play against him, And then I was fortunate enough to be his teammate in my last years. And being a teammate of his, I respected his approach to the game. He was a coach, pretty much. He coached the offense. I saw it myself on Saturday night game plan meetings. He was putting everything together. So I had a newfound respect for him when I was a teammate of his. His approach to the game, being up at the complex at 5 a.m. on the treadmill right next to me before practice, and he's a starting quarterback. I just have loads of respect for him as well.
Talking to Ray Mickens here on TexAgs Live. Ray, I want to go back to a story that I read it this morning. I was like, I had to remember where I was and what my mindset was. And I want to talk about yours. Draft day. Everybody in the world thought you were going to be a first rounder. You were ready to be a first rounder. It ended up being a blessing that you got to go to New York in the third round. But kind of take me through your emotions that day and maybe how that kind of sparked this fire in you in your NFL career that you already had, but it just made it a little bit brighter.
Yeah, well, draft day. Wow, everybody thinks draft day is a beautiful day for players coming out of college, but your expectations on where you're getting drafted at and where you actually get drafted at really define that day. And I think that for me, it was a frustrating day from the standpoint of, I was one of the top 3 corners coming out. I did everything that I could to put myself in the position. My pre-draft workouts were great. Actually, head coaches flew into College Station. Craig Erickson from Seattle. Dave Wanstead was the head coach of Chicago at the time. He flew in. We just had lunch, and we talked about, my personal life. And then Jimmy Johnson in Miami, he flew us out there to have dinner with us out there in Miami. And he was just like, hey, at the 20th pick, I'm either going to get a linebacker or a corner. And And, you know, some of you guys may be available still. Some of you guys aren't. But if you're there, I'm coming to get you. So, you know, you have all these emotions going on before draft day. And then when draft day comes, you know, you're excited. You were like, okay, the Saints pick number 10. Chicago picks 12. And then Miami picks 20, if anything. You know, and when those picks come and you don't get your name called, you know, you start to get a little bit of anxiety. The crazy thing for me on draft day was the 12th pick. Chicago Bears were on the clock. Mel Kiper says, you know, they're going to look for them to pick a corner. You know, these are the top corners available. It was me and Walt Harris. And then I get a phone call as they're talking to Mel Kiper, and it's Dave Wanstead. I was like, hey, what's up, coach? He was just like, hey, Ray, I just want you to let you know I appreciate, you know, you meeting with me. And, you know, we're going to go with Walt Harris. And he told me why. And, you know, that was, to this day, you know, that was, I respect the call, even though it was kind of a shocker and a Debbie Downer. It was like, you know, I still respect that call to this day. But then I started my slide all the way until the first pick of the third round. Actually, the last pick of the second round, they went to commercial, and I was just like, you know, the world was going to fall apart. And then I get a call during that commercial break. The Jets call me, and they say, we're going to pick you up with the next pick. So that was kind of my day. So when I reported to New York, tons of media, I really wasn't in a good mood. I just wanted to ball out, you know, earn a starting spot and try to be, you know, one of the best corners in the league, basically.
And you certainly were, Ray. You came up in the show earlier because, excuse me, we're talking about Kyle Field, and there's a couple different rankings that it's like the 11th hardest place to play, or I forget what the phrasing, and I don't care where rankings are, but when you played at Kyle Field, you guys were 23-1, right? Like, it was an impossible place to win at if you were an opponent coming to Kyle Field. What is it about Kyle Field that when things are working, things are working?
Man, I tell you, you know, and this is going to sound redundant, man, but the 12th man was amazing back then. It was the 12th man and the expectations, the accountability that I felt that I didn't want to let down 80, 90,000 people. I'm not going to let them down. I'm not going to let my brothers down on the sideline. I'm not going to let all these fans down, all these you know, these classmates of mine down. That's how I felt. And so you had everybody's support. It was just like you can't lose. It's like a can't lose situation. And we played like that. You know, you talk about the spirit of the wrecking crew and then the spirit of the 12th man. Those two together, I mean, you feel invincible. And that's how we played.
Talking to Ray Mickens here on TexAgs Live. Ray, do you have a game that was like your favorite or your best? Like one, like some people bring up the Michigan game. If I remember correctly, weren't you covering like every dude on the field? Like they just kept on moving you. Like, just what was your best game or your favorite game?
Man, if you got time, yeah, Michigan was the, you know, kind of it was one of my most memorable games. Now I've had a lot of amazing games at Kyle Field. We played, you know, obviously, and we played Texas down in Austin. We won both times down there. That was amazing as well. But that Michigan game, I don't know. I mean, going into that, they had two receivers that were NFL receivers. One of them was Amani Toomer. He was a 6'5" receiver, long first rounder. You know, he was a first round draft pick. He was projected to go first round. And then they had a smaller, faster receiver called Mercury Hayes. And he was projected to go third round. And so I'm looking at their roster. I'm, you know, trying to put myself in position to get drafted. So I want to shadow the best receiver they had, you know, which was Amani Toomer. And the game plan comes out. Coach Phil Bennett was our defensive coordinator at the time. Game plan comes out. Phil Bennett, you know, we got a month of practice before the bowl game pretty much. So the game plan comes out. He says, you know, Mickens, we're going to put you on Mercury Hayes, the smaller receiver. He's quicker, he's faster. And then we're going to put Typhoon McMullen on Amani Toomer because Typhoon McMullen, people don't know, but he was about a 6'2" corner and he can run. He was fast. He was just young. And we're going to match you up with Amani Toomer, Typhoon. I was so mad and livid. I was mad for a whole month because, you know, I wanted to cover Amani Toomer. We get into that game, and I don't know if you remember the first half. The first half, I'm shadowing Mercury Hayes, Typhus shadowing Amani Toomer, and Toomer has literally almost 100 yards by halftime.
Oh,
he has 100 yards by halftime. And I don't know if we were winning or it was a tie game, but it wasn't a good look going into halftime. And one thing that I've never done, and I've apologized to this day, is normally when you go into the locker room at halftime, the players go to their lockers and the coaches go and they meet for a minute to do some adjustments to their game plan. I busted into that coach's meeting room and I told Coach Bennett, put me on Amani Toomer the second half. And I knew I was out of my I knew I was out of place by doing that. But he turned and he cussed me out and said, "Mother effer, you got him." And I left. I walked out of the coach's room. And that second half, if you saw the film, I was on him the whole second half. I think he finished with 115 yards after having 100 yards at halftime. And so after that game, we won the game. And I just went up to Coach Slocum. I went to Coach Bennett, and I told him I was sorry about the halftime thing. But we were all happy because we won. But you know, I kind of never did that to a coach, and I felt very bad for a while after that.
I didn't know that story. That's a fantastic story. Ray Mickens here on TexAgs Live. Ray, who was maybe the hardest guy to cover for you? Is there a guy that like, man, like I got him, but he got me?
Oh, in college or in the pros?
In college.
In college, you know, there was a receiver named Mike Adams that played for Texas.
Okay.
He was a really good receiver, and he got me on a double move one time, and but he was a really good receiver. I mean, not too many. I didn't get scored on, or a lot of balls got caught on me deep, but he was a good receiver, and I had to pass interference in one time because he had got me on a double move. A really good receiver though. He had a knee injury, and that's why he didn't play in the league. But he was a good receiver.
Ray, let's kind of focus on the current era of A&M football. Your thoughts on what you're seeing from Coach Elko. You know, last year did not end well, but the pieces are in place for what could be a great 25.
Yeah, being fully transparent, I love Elko. I think he's a perfect fit for A&M football. A defensive-minded head coach. We've had so much success with defensive-minded head coaches, going back to, you know, Jackie Sherrill, R.C. Slocum. I think that he's bringing the culture back, and it's not just bringing 5 stars. I don't know if you remember back when we played, but we weren't getting all the 5 stars. We were players with chips on our shoulders back then. Mike Sherman came, and he brought in players with chips on their shoulders. Mike Evans, Johnny Manziel, they weren't like 5-star players either. I think Elko is in that same role. I don't like to get caught up in the 5 stars. I'd rather get caught up into players with chips on their shoulders and a culture. And I think that Elko has done a great job of bringing the culture back. I can already see it in the tackling on defense and the blocking on offense. Our running game is good, and our defense tackled well. So we have the bones and the framework of something special, and I hope that he's given time to continue to build on that.
Well, and I don't know how much you can pay attention, but Will Lee had a really solid year last year, just trying to get that wrecking crew back. Like, he's the guy to put not Will Lee, Coach Elko, but with players like Will Lee, can get you closer to that.
Yeah, no, it's the players that bring back the wrecking crew. It's the players. It's the culture in the locker room that brings back the wrecking crew. The defensive linemen, the linebackers, and the secondary. They bring the culture. I never forget Bob Davey, one of the architects of the wrecking crew. He was our defensive coordinator, and he just basically. And I was young. I was a freshman at the time, but it made so much sense. He's just like, guys, I don't care what I call. I can call cover 2. I can call man-to-man. I can send everybody. It's how you play the call. If you play it with passion, we're going to be successful. Just play the call with passion. That said a whole lot to me right there. Don't worry. Don't focus on the calls. Don't focus on the scheme. Focus on how you play. And if you put on any film of a wrecking crew defense, you'll see A lot of players just playing with a lot of passion. Somebody makes a play, there's 10 guys over there celebrating with him. That's what we played with.
That is Ray Mickens here on TexAgs Live. Hey, Ray, this was great, man. I hope we can do it again. Thank you for making a few minutes, and we hope to catch up with you soon.
Yeah, thank you, guys. I appreciate it, man. Let's go.
Yep. Ray Mickens, TexAgs Live. All right, we'll hit a break here. We'll come back, open segment. We're going to keep the college football talk going. We got Mr. College Football on the other side. Tony Barnhart will join us around 9:35 or so. Right now, if your wheels have been damaged by the potholes in town, the curbs, the medians, go see the experts at Brazos Valley Wheel Repair. Don't get those rims replaced. Why don't you get them fixed, right? Don't replace them. Get them fixed and get them restored. That's what they can do there at the Brazos Valley Wheel Repair. With over 2 decades of experience, they want to make sure that your wheel is returned to perfectly safe working condition. They're also going to road force balance all their wheels to make sure you get the smoothest, most safest possible ride out there. And if your wheels are in good shape, but you just need a fresh look, they got you too. They can make it look real good with a custom, unique look to transform your car or truck with every cosmetic repair that comes with it. And if you need new tires, you can get those at Brazos Valley Wheel Repair. They'll help you with that as well. And if you bring in a new tire quote and they can't beat it, they're going to give you $20. That's what they do at the Brazos Valley Wheel Repair. And make sure you check them out, bvwheelrepair.com. That is bvwheelrepair.com or 508 Burnett Street in Bryan. That is 508 Burnett Street in Bryan. Check. It is the Brazos Valley Wheel Repair. Hey everyone, David Nuno and Olin Buchanan and OB. Typically, we start off the show in this section, and we call it the Holistic Planning Cool
The cool zone, yeah. It's pretty cool.
What do we know about holistic planning?
Well, a lot of cool stuff. For instance, holistic planning can help you with your investments.
I love that.
They can help you with your taxes. So
I don't like paying taxes.
You can get that money from your investments and they keep it. They'll help you keep it away from the government.
Yep.
Not all of it, but more of it. And then they'll even help you with your estate planning. When you're old like me, you got to make sure some of that money you made is there for when you want to retire and just enjoy the rest of your life.
You want your estate to be planned. But they also do something else.
Yeah, well, if you are, like, say, a sports fan, and you've always wanted to...
Everybody watching us, right?
Yeah. And you want to always dream of being an owner, well, in a certain way you can, because they will broker the deal for you to invest in pro sports.
Yeah, what you need to do is check out investinprosports.com. That's where you can get all the information if you want to invest in a team. I don't know what team. He'd probably try to buy the Cowboys. I'd try to buy a lot of the Houston teams. Whatever it may be, investinprosports.com. It is holistic planning, and we love hanging out at the Holistic Planning Cool Zone. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Hey, so I made a little mistake on the YouTube page. I don't know if you saw. I don't know if you're following it. Texas fan comes in there and starts talking his noise, and of course, I always do a little research on who talks the noise. Then another guy started talking with a similar name, but he's an Aggie, and I was about to go after him, but he's a good guy. So Wes Coop Doll, you're my dog, all right? I apologize.
Good guy.
All right? Apologize. The other Wesley guy running for office, not apologizing. Anyway, what do you have at the Angry Elephant News and Social Center?
Well, Texas State has just announced they will be joining the Pac-12. And I find that pretty funny because that means Texas State and SMU. It means the Pacific Coast Conference and the Atlantic Coast Conference are now a 3.5-hour drive away from each other.
Oh, that's nice. Very nice.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. What else do you have?
So you were talking earlier about the, I forget who it was that made that stadium rankings, but
Josh Pate, our buddy.
Yes, Josh Pate. EA Sports also came out with their stadium rankings, and if anyone plays the game, they know that the stadiums are harder to play in, and there's like shakes the screen and such. Kyle Field was number 1 last year when the game first came out, and they are all the way down to number 11 now, which seems a bit random to me. I don't see why that drop would happen over just
whatever.
Yeah.
Like, again, what I think, right? We all can have opinions. I think Kyle Field is one of the most magical places in the world to play a game at, right? If you're an opponent, it can be intimidating. If you are the home team, it is a place that will lift you up. We just heard it from a legend, one of the best to ever do it at this place. And he talks about the 12th man, and the stadium's even bigger and better now, right? So if you win games, your ranking goes up.
Yeah.
So if A&M goes 10-2, Kyle Field will be top 3 next year.
Definitely.
Right? Like, that's just how it works. So they've just got to win.
I got to go to a game. I've yet to be at one.
Come on, buddy. What's
I'm
up
coming.
with you?
I actually have planned it. I'm coming to the South Carolina game this year.
Okay, good.
Very exciting.
We owe them one. We owe South Carolina one.
Yeah.
What
That'll be
else?
my second college football game I've ever been to. That's it. So, yeah.
What?
Yeah. Went to my first one last year.
What was it like listening to Ray Mickens?
Awesome. Like, really cool, especially to hear from someone that got to play with, like, such amazing players. I mean, obviously Brady in that offense, but, like, I have it written down here. He played with a ridiculous defense in New England, and they lost that game to Peyton Manning and the Colts in the AFC Championship. And, like, you look at that defense, and you're like, how did Peyton Manning pull that off? I mean, Mike Vrabel, Junior Seau, Vince Wilfork, Asante Samuel, and Rodney Harrison all on one defense.
Yep.
And he got to play with all of them. Like, that's pretty special.
That is special. That's the year that they played the Bears in the Super Bowl. Is that right?
The Colts?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, and they ended up winning that.
Yep. All right, give us one more story.
Let's see. I know Callie Garner mentioned this a little bit earlier, but former Texas A&M women's tennis player Carson Branstein has officially earned her spot in Wimbledon. She just qualified the other day, and her run also helped her break into the Women's Tennis Association top 200 for the first time in her career, and this will be her first ever Grand Slam tournament appearance. When she was at A&M, she led them to, or she
was a key contributor.
Key role in Texas A&M's first ever national title, 2024.
Yeah, it was awesome. So in the last year, keeping count, a couple national championships. Women's tennis, and of course, men's track and field this year. All right, let's do this. We'll hit a break. When we come back on TexAgs Live, Mr. College Football, Tony Barnhart. A couple things you need to know. This will be his 50th year covering college football in the SEC. This is going to be his final year. He's doing a tour of the 16 places. He's going to see all 16 teams play, I should say. And can't wait to talk to him about his career, what's ahead, and just maybe he's also writing a book about his experiences. So we'll talk to him about that on the other side. If your organization or business is looking for an opportunity to engage with Aggies, you need to check out the Association of Former Students. They bring Aggies of all ages together during marquee events held throughout the year. We're talking about Aggie Ring Day, all Aggie Hullabaloo, the gathering. They all welcome tens of thousands of guests, and there are many sponsorship and vendor opportunities available to get your brand in front of those attendees. These events offer a wide variety of both digital and in-person options to promote your brand. These options include title sponsorship naming, on-site presence, recognition in social media posts, and much, much more. If your business is ready to engage with Aggies, you need to choose a partner that's been with the organization supporting the Aggie Network for over 140 years. For more information on options available through the association, please email sponsorships@aggienetwork.com. And we're back. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's go straight to the Buppy's Catering Hotline. We're joined by Tony Barnhart, Mr. College Football, who is going to be covering the SEC in college football for the 50th year. And he's also going to call it a career, I think, at the end of it, right? Am I understanding that correctly? I mean, you're going to write a book, but like the day-to-day grind, it will come to a close.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. I am saying goodbye to the daily grind. I'm going to do one more year. I'm going to do my last tour of the SEC, and I will turn it into a book, and already have a deal with the University of Georgia Press to print that book, and call Mr. College Football 50 Years of SEC Memories. And so I'm looking for. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it.
You know that just because you're not going to be covering the daily grind, that doesn't mean we're not going to be calling you all the time for great college football takes, because you're a staple. We need a little bit more from you.
Well, thank you. And I've told everybody that I've been on with, hey guys, I'm here. I'm not going away. No, this is going to be. I'm walking away from the daily grind of covering the league. But yeah, I've told folks that I give speeches to and all that. Please invite me back. And but yeah, it's going to be special. It really is. Matter of fact, I've already met with. I went to see Nick Saban in Tuscaloosa a couple of weeks ago and got to spend some time with him, and that was a fun day, fun conversation.
Two-part question for you. Do you like the direction the SEC is going, which is a bigger question, the direction of college football, but we can take that in different parts. But I'm just talking about the 16 teams, the 4 power conferences. Like, do you like the direction the SEC is going?
I do. A couple of things. I definitely want to go to 9 games. I think that there'll be some more losses there. I understand. I get all that, but I think it'd be good for the conference. Also good to save what I call secondary rivalries. Matter of fact, my favorite game is Georgia-Auburn, which goes all the way back to 1892. And so I think that, and I'm in favor of the 16-team playoff. I think that it would be tremendous. So yeah, I do like the direction the SEC is going.
But what about the direction of college athletics, but with a focus on football?
Yep.
With the House settlement, NIL, the $20.2 million, like all these different parts of it that have just, it's different, right? We're talking about your 50-year career covering the league. If we would ask Tony from 30 years ago about this version of college football, he'd be confused.
So what are you talking about? No, listen. We are transitioning into a new era, and it's going to happen. The courts have told us it's going to happen. We got to figure out a way that makes it work, that takes care of the athletes the way they should be, and the courts have made it clear that there's certain things that schools are going to have to do. And so yeah, Nick Saban had a good point. He said, "Look, it is never going back to the way it used to be. What the game that we grew, it'll never go back." He said, "But what we're doing now is not sustainable." Okay, there's a sweet spot in there, and it's up to the adults in the room to figure out what it is, which takes care of the athletes and all. And I still think we got a couple more years before this all settles down, and we're not have rotating lawsuits all the time.
Do you like the 12-team playoff? Do you like the idea of 16? Do you think we still need conference championship games? Just kind of give me all your thoughts on that kind of bundle of questions.
I'll be very, very surprised for 2026 if we don't go to 16 teams. I think that takes care of all the pretty much issues that you would have, and so I think that's the way to go. And I think there's so many things that have got to be done. People have got to, I think eventually college sports, particularly college football, is going to have an antitrust exemption, because if you don't have an antitrust exemption, every time, take the NIL model where they just get some money, but and they try to restrict when they get ready. This group, the Deloitte, is going to restrict how much the guys can make. First time that gets into a court of law, they're saying, why are you restricting what these guys can make? That is not how free market works. So there's a lot of steps still to be done, but we'll get there. I will get there.
So you're not discouraged by the direction of college football. To you, it's just part of the evolution of sports.
The irony of all of this is that the game on the field, the game that we see every Saturday and watch, the game is better than it's ever been. It is a great game. It always delivers. And so what we've got to do is figure out how to make things work financially, not only for the schools, but for the athletes involved. And we got to get all those folks in a room and come up with a happy medium. But I still think collective bargaining is somewhere in our future. I don't see how you can get it done unless you get an antitrust exemption. If you get an antitrust exemption, then most of these things are solved.
Do you want to see them do something with the portal? Just something to, I don't know, like I struggle with the portal because I think about my children. If they're in the situation where they're unhappy somewhere, they should be able to transfer, right? But then there's the part of me that's like, but are you transferring for NIL reasons all the time? And are you just playing the game? Like I have my issues with it, but I also recognize it is needed.
Well, I talked to a lot of coaches at spring meetings in Destin, and they were all adamant. Kirby Smart was very adamant about we've got to go to one window. And most of the coaches want a one window, goes from January 2nd to January 12th, and that's it. Now you got your team and all that to bring some stability. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me to have two windows. Now all of a sudden you got a guy who's been on your, he stays in January, but he sits there and takes part of your cap room, and all of a sudden he leaves in April. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Tony, but what about teams that are still playing from that? If they went with a January window, like just grandfather them, allow them to finish the season if they're in the playoffs?
Exactly. That is a real issue. That is a real issue. But it's a real issue for what? 2 teams? 4 teams? Maybe. You can find a way to make that work.
Talking to Tony Barnhart here on TexAgs Live. Tony, let's talk about this upcoming season and just get your thoughts on a couple teams. Our team, Texas A&M, a team that struggled mightily at the end of the season for multiple reasons, injuries to Le'Veon Moss and some defensive issues. Everybody I've brought on the show, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot, has felt that Coach Elko is putting them in the right direction. I'm going to frame the question that way, and just what do you think?
Mike Elko is a really good football coach. Okay, some people when Texas A&M was struggling, it was like, oh, they must not be coached very. No. Mike Elko's a really good football coach. He's won every place he's ever been. It just, Texas A&M ran into a string of tough luck and tough injuries and all that, and I think they'll be fine. If Marcel Reed stays healthy and he does what we all think he can do, I think the Aggies will be fine. Now, having said all of that, there are a lot of really good teams in this conference. This year is going to be like last year. I thought last year there were a lot of really good teams in the SEC and no great teams. And I think that's probably the case again. But having said that, there are at least 3 and 4 teams who could win the national championship. So it's going to be a great year. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Who are your 3 or 4 teams that could win it? Georgia, Texas, who else? Alabama?
I think you got to go with Georgia, Texas, Alabama. Keep an eye on LSU. Brian Kelly. I talked to Brian Kelly, as we did a bunch of us who were there, and this could be the best roster that Brian Kelly has ever had. Matter of fact, I think it is. And he said he feels real good about where they are. Now, having said that, got to go to Clemson for the opener. Okay, got to go to Clemson for the opener. And Clemson probably has the best defensive line in all of college football. And they're going to be, and a veteran quarterback in Kay Klubnik. So we'll see. But I think those teams could somebody else sneak in for the SEC and contend for the national championship? Yeah, always in this league. But from a sheer talent standpoint, I think it's those teams you just named, plus LSU.
3 of those 4 teams you mentioned have first-year starters, right? And there's been a lot of hype on a few of them. What's the likelihood that all 3 are really good? Like, what is the likelihood that Arch is right away, it works? Ty Simpson, it works right away. Gunnar Stockton, right away, it works.
And that is absolutely possible. People, all my Georgia friends are worried about Gunnar Stockton. I said, guys, he's got the locker room. He's got the innate ability. He knows how to play. And so I think he's going to be fine. Florida with DJ Lagway, let's don't forget them. If they get off to a good early start, that's a team, if Lagway stays healthy, that's a team that can make some noise.
When you think about Florida and you think about a team like Oklahoma, they seem to be arrows pointing up, but I can't get past the schedule. Do you does that weigh into when you think about the kind of success they could have?
Absolutely. Florida's schedule is just ridiculous. It really is. Now, you've got a quarterback who can make all the plays, but yeah, you cannot ignore that schedule. That's just but credit to Coach Napier. they against that same schedule last year with the roles reversed, they had a very, very good finish, and that's got to be encouraging. But Lagway's got to stay healthy.
Talking to Tony Barnhart here on TexAgs Live. Tony, what about Tennessee? We understand the quarterback situation with Aguilar. I know the system that Heupel has, and it seems to always work. But what do you think about them this year?
Well, Tennessee is a contender. If we're talking about Tennessee, it's going to be not because of the offense; it's going to be because of the defense. Tennessee is going to be really good on defense. They got Tim Banks to return as their OC. He could have gone anywhere, and so he is going to be back. And so Aguilar, the transfer, is going to end up being the quarterback when all is said and done. Can he carry the team for 12, 13 games? We'll see. But I don't know which way Tennessee's going to. That's why I didn't have Tennessee in that grouping of teams that you and I just talked about. There's just so much we don't know.
Talking to Tony Barnhart here on TexAgs Live. Tony, Ole Miss is a team that I just feel like they're going to be good. Not the good that we thought they were going to be last year, but maybe that same level, because I have Lane Kiffin's a coach that I think from an offensive standpoint, there's no denying how good he is. Where do you see Ole Miss this year?
Lane Kiffin's one of the best play callers of our generation. He absolutely is. Now, his plays look a lot better when Jackson Dart's throwing the ball, and I think that is an issue. I think Ole Miss will be there. They've got the talent level now where they should be a pretty consistent team. But how do the quarterbacks work out? Well, because Lane Kiffin's offense is so dependent on not having a good quarterback, but really an elite quarterback. And can the guys in that quarterback room give him that elite play that he needs?
Close out with a SEC versus Big Ten question. The SEC's not won the championship the last couple of years, but every other sport, they're taking care of business like they normally do. They're right there. Do you think this year, for 25, the SEC's got a better chance or the Big Ten?
I think the SEC has a better chance. And I know, by the way, it did not go unnoticed in Destin by the coaches that the Big Ten has won the last two national championships. Okay, they pointed that they went out of their way to point that out. Again, I think the SEC has more quality teams than the Big Ten. The Big Ten is, it's top heavy. It's been top heavy for a while, but the SEC goes 5, 6, 7 teams deep of really, really quality teams.
Tony, I can't wait to see you in Atlanta here in a couple of weeks, my friend. Thanks for making a few minutes for us, and best of luck, and I can't wait to read the book.
All right. Thanks so much. See you in Atlanta.
See you, man.
Take care.
Tony Barnhart on TexAgs Live. All right. We're going to put a little break there. When we come back, we'll get to a couple thoughts, maybe hit the YouTube page, the TexAgs chat, and 10 o'clock hour full of Billy Liucci. All right. We're going to hit a break. When we come back, we'll do that. But right now, let's do caller number 12. The last segment of the show is at 10:50, but right now, caller number 12, you're going to win yourself a Double Dave's pepperoni roll or a large pizza. That's what they do at Double Dave's, and we're going to hook you up at it. 979-693-1150. They have your favorite pizza and, of course, those world-famous pepperoni rolls, reliable in-house delivery, bringing piping hot goodness straight to your door. Just click on doubledaves.com, and your favorites are on their way. Let's picture a world where your kid gets drafted in the NBA, MLB, NFL, wherever it may be. WNBA, if you're into that. And they look disappointed when they get drafted, which has happened before. What happened with Ace Bailey is not anything brand new. If you guys didn't see it, he was a top five pick, and his representatives told them there are certain teams in the top 5 not to pick him. Excuse me, he wasn't a top 5 pick, but he did tell them he was the 5th pick. I'm all over the place by the Utah Jazz. His representatives told, don't draft him. He doesn't want to go there. And then you can see him on camera, and I think he said an expletive, but he did not want to go there, right? And when they asked him about it, he said, I can control what I can control, and they feel how they feel. But my team and me, we're focusing on basketball, them doing what they're doing, so it happens. So let me just tell you, like, that's not okay. From a PR standpoint, like, you know what you're signing up for when you enter the NBA draft. It's a draft. You could be unhappy with it, but I think there's a respect and a professionalism and class that should come with it. By the way, if you guys don't remember, Ace Bailey played last year for Rutgers. Rutgers played Texas A&M in hoops. In that game, A&M won 81-77, and Ace Bailey, phenomenal player, at 24 points. He led Rutgers in that game. But that was a game that everyone was talking about. We got a bunch of lottery picks. Got to be careful for the Aggies. Took care of business, scoring the 81 and winning that game. A game that they were up by 6 at the half, and Rutgers made their run in the second half. But regardless, my kids will not handle things like that. They may make other mistakes, but I just think there should be a professionalism when you are gifted enough to be a lottery pick. I'm not saying, like, Eli Manning played his way out of San Diego. There's been others. John Elway, like, he wasn't going to. So I recognize that this is not there. This happens. I don't think it's a good look. And my kids wouldn't handle it that way. What would your dad say to you if, like, you just seemed unhappy? Like, shouldn't you at least play it off a little bit?
He would be insanely disappointed. And actually, as of this morning, he still has not reported to the Utah Jazz.
Huh.
Crazy.
Just be classy.
I know.
Like, hey, guys, what are the chances he's been to Utah? Like, people talk about places. Like, I've been to Cleveland once. I was told it was the worst town in the world. It's fine. Whatever, it's a city. At the end of the day, you can live anywhere. If your life is about basketball, you're not going to really be in that town very much. If it's about that. I don't know. Anyway, I would want my kids to handle it more classy than that. Shots taken. When we come back, I believe we'll have Billy Liucci on TexAgs Live.
All right, we're back. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Billy will be with us in about 10 minutes or so. So we'll there's a topic I'm going to bring up with him and get his thoughts, and I'll kind of go through it here in a minute. But before we do that, we go back to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Why did I say it like that? Benjamin Falatera. I didn't say it right that time.
It's close enough. Yeah. I've heard significantly worse than that. So
Faletra is the proper way.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I did it more Spanish/Italian. I did a mix.
Yeah. Been called Fletcher, things like that.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you have for us?
Like we said, not a lot of massive news going on, but I did have a little topic I wanted to bring up to you and ask.
Something about sophomore slumps, right?
Yeah, it's a term I've heard before, and it's sometimes...
It's a real thing.
Yeah, it is a real thing, and sometimes the freshman season's hard to live up to, but I know here at A&M there's an outstanding freshman in Marcel Reed, and then there's a bunch that took over the scene last year. Probably some of the best players in college football were freshmen, like DJ Lagway, Lenore Sellers, Ryan Williams, Jeremiah Smith. Do any of those guys specifically stand out to you as ones that have an opportunity to fall into a sophomore slump, or ones that can really raise above that, what would you call it?
Okay, so let's go through some of the names. You throw
Stereotypes, what I was looking for, sorry.
DJ Lagway, I think he's going to be excellent unless he gets injured like Tony Barnhart talked about. So if that is considered a sophomore slump, then sure. But that would be the only way I would see him. Now, is he going to be kind of like people talking about certain quarterbacks? DJ's one of these ones that people are like, oh my God, he's going to be the greatest thing ever. I think he's going to be really good, and he might end up being the truth. I mean, A&M wanted this guy bad. They wanted him. Jimbo wanted him. Coach Elko wanted him. So, I guess Coach Elko he had already been at Florida. So, but I know Jimbo went after him. Yeah, I don't think of him as a guy that I would consider a sophomore slump. But when there is film on quarterbacks, right? And this goes for Marcel Reed, this goes for Arch Manning. When there's enough film on you and people know how to stop you, things do change. And that's going to be the question with DJ Lagway. After what we saw, the sample size at the end of the year, I don't think he's going to be one of those. Who are some of the other ones?
Well, we have those three quarterbacks, but then there's also the two wide receivers.
Jeremiah Smith?
Ryan Williams and Jeremiah Smith. And I mean, personally, I think
they're going to just get better.
Yeah, I agree, and I was thinking that Jeremiah Smith in particular had such an outstanding season that I really hope that people don't hold him to such a bizarre standard.
If he has a worse year, and by the way, worst year is relative, right? So a lot of people say C.J. Stroud had a worse. He did have a worse year, but he made the freaking playoffs 2 years in a row, right? Like he had a really good year. Maybe he set such a high standard as a quarterback in year one. I think those receivers. It won't be based on them. It would be based on their quarterbacks, right?
Yeah, and I mean,
you got first-year starters at both places.
Yes, and they're both coming off of. They're both coming into a now more system guy role, and people that are both going to be starting for the first time. But I mean, Jeremiah Smith, 76 receptions, 1,300 yards and 15 touchdowns. Like if he has 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns, they're going to be like, oh, that's a great season out of a wide receiver, and it's just not going to match this one. So,
and who are the other two quarterbacks? I know Lagway was one of them. Who are the other two quarterbacks you brought up?
Lenore Sellers and Marcel Reed.
Okay, I would not be surprised if Lenore Sellers is not what everybody thinks he is. Okay, I think he's really good. I think people are this Heisman talk needs to slow down. He had a great year, and he destroyed A&M. He had the up, down, left, right little thing about him in the game where you would touch him, you'd fall off of him, right? Like video game style. But he's one that I could see having a sophomore slump.
Yeah, I agree.
Marcel, I mean, no, I don't think he's going to, I don't think he's a candidate for it. I think of those three, Lenore's would be, and Lenore's may end up being the best of the three. But if I were to bank on somebody being a sophomore slump.
High ceiling, low floor.
Right? I would say it would be Lenore Sellers.
Yeah, I mean.
I think I know who Marcel is, and I think he can take a couple steps in the right direction. And I think I know DJ Lagway. I am not convinced on Lenore Sellers, although he might be a Grand Slam quarterback, top 10 pick. He might be that dude. I need to see more from him.
Yeah.
All right, so here's one of the things I want to bring up with Billy.
And I'm going to ask him, and you guys can weigh in on the text line if you want. Will we see in this current era of college football, right? And I'm not going to say forever because things are going to change. But in the current era of college football, will we see an undefeated team? It's been a while, right? But I don't think we're going to see it this year or the next couple of years. I really don't. Some folks are like, well, maybe Georgia's got a tough schedule. Texas, no, I don't think they're going to go undefeated. More games, more teams, more of a crowded. No, don't call Billy. No, we don't need to call him. I've already heard from him. More games, more teams, and just more roadblocks during your season. Look, conferences like the SEC and the Big Ten are turning into this like little mini NFL project. And with the transfer portal and the lack of depth in several of these teams, all teams in college football, I think depth is being taken away. You consider that it's about surviving week to week. And not only do you have to be your best against the best conference, especially in the SEC, everybody's gunning for you, and you don't have the depth that you once had. So when you try to do the perfect season in the SEC, if they move to 9 games, they're not there yet. But if it comes, I think that's going to take away. That's obviously going to take away an FCS opponent for some teams. It's going to be much harder. But the late night games, the combination of late season marquee matchups with conference championship games and the added playoff games, we're talking about 15 or 16 games. Last year, Ohio State played 16 games. Your national champions, all right? 12 regular season games. They have their playoff game against Tennessee, Oregon, Texas, and the national championship game against Notre Dame. That's without, by the way, they weren't undefeated, obviously. That's without a conference championship game. They did not play in the Big Ten championship game, right? That was Penn State and Oregon. So the last couple of times we've seen it, we had 2018 Clemson, okay, not that long ago, 2019 LSU, probably the best team that I've seen play, if not for those early Hurricane teams. In 2020, we had Bama. That was a COVID season, so you can look at it. But since then, we haven't seen it. 2022, Georgia came close. 2023, Michigan won it all, and they are in this era. But again, the era is exploding to more. The fact that we have one season of this expanded playoff, I think the more games, the more travel, the West Coast, East Coast, all this is happening with conferences having to like do this Pythagorean theorem to get everywhere. I don't think we're going to see it. Can we see a 14-0, 15-0? Look, the NFL has gotten very close to undefeated seasons. Your team came very close. Like they were having a perfect season and they didn't get it done. I don't think we're going to see it the next few years. I don't. I just think it is too crowded. And look, what will it take? It's going to take a generational quarterback, which we saw with Joe Burrow, right? Like it's going to take to go along with a great defense. And there are going to be generational quarterbacks that come up. They're going to be. But the lack of depth to me, and like, here's another example for awful announcing. Awful announcing may be able to clip this here in a few months and be like, hey, this jerk thought we weren't going to get another undefeated team. We got 2. Well, one of them would be the only one who survives if you continued through. But if we're talking 16 or 17 games, no, I don't think we're going to see that. Because back in the day, it was 12. And it keeps on getting bigger and bigger. So I don't think it's going to happen. We'll hit a break, hit an early break. When we come back, I'm going to ask Billy that thought. And we'll get into some more topics here on TexAgs Live. Right now, I want to talk about Heritage Films. They preserve family stories that would otherwise be lost forever. Chance McClain's the guy who makes it happen. He does these awesome documentaries about the family business, the family ranch, and just families in general. He can be an eye in the sky at these great events that your family has. 4th of July, he could be there just like he's not even there, but he's there. They'll do some interviews. It'll be great. But the beauty of this is for the generations after. You get to find out about your family story. You get to find out about your family ranch, the soil that really makes up what your family is all about, the fabric of it all. And Chance does these in these 2-hour documentaries, and they are grand slams for your family. I'm telling you, you're going to love it. We did it with my pops. If you got a family business, you got a family ranch, or just someone in your family that needs to have their story told for the next generation, reach out to Chance right now. 713-893-8341. 713-893-8341. Or go to yourheritagefilm.com. Yourheritagefilm.com, not just a service, but a time machine for your family's most precious memories. TexAgs Live. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're in the Rollo Insurance Studio. It is hour number 3 of the show. Billy Liucci is here. His microphone is here. His coffee is here. He's out there. He'll be here in a moment. So we'll talk to Billy. I am going to ask him the question because you argued with me, and you lost that argument, but you argued with me that you think that we're going to see an undefeated team soon. But then I think I started throwing you some facts, and you're like, maybe not.
A little bit. I mean, soon is definitely relative, and I probably shouldn't have said soon, but I think it will definitely happen within the next 10 years, 5 years. But I said to you, I don't think a single team comes out of the SEC undefeated this year, and I don't think a single team comes out of the Big Ten undefeated this year.
Okay, all right. The Big Ten, I could see it maybe more happening more than I can in the SEC because I just think they're very top heavy.
Yeah, that is true. So a team maybe like an Indiana or a Illinois might come out. I mean, Illinois, they're a trap game this year for every team on their schedule, in my opinion.
Yeah, by the way, this is Around the SEC brought to you by the Jackster Group. Look, my thinking is the lack of depth on teams because of the portal and partially because of NIL, and the more games. Like SEC games against bad teams a lot of times are very close, right? Like, and if we're thinking that the national champion is going to come from one of those two leagues, if, maybe the Big 12 has a year, Texas Tech went all in on NIL. I don't think they're going to win a national championship, but you understand my point. Like, if you play in an inferior conference, but you have this awesome offense, right? If your offense is unstoppable, I guess so. But like even Texas, which we talked about their schedule last year being, it was easy until it wasn't. I mean, what they were able to do from the 9th week of the season on significantly upgraded the opponents that they played against. But that's, I guess, my point is that, and they only, their losses came against two of the best teams in college football, twice to Georgia and once to Ohio State. So I just think with the amount of games you're probably going to have to, put it this way, if you have to play in the conference championship game, that's an extra roadblock, an extra opportunity for injuries, and an extra game against a top-tier team. If you don't play in the conference championship game, what does that mean? You probably lost somewhere.
Yeah.
Right? And that's, I guess, my point is that with the amount of games, the amount of opportunities to get injured, I think it's going to be much harder to have those dynasty-looking teams that we've seen before. My question, Billy, as you put on your mic, is I know, but I
just do the question.
I just saw that.
No, we're gonna talk about it.
I just saw that. I don't like that.
Don't worry.
I'm glad we're gonna talk about it. Anyway, what was undefeated season? I don't think we're gonna see undefeated seasons for a while in college football.
I heard you, and I agree. I also.
Why am I getting the blame on this?
Well, I took a Pate State mug from the wedding. Josh, I may have taken two. Somebody's a huge fan of his that requested when I sent them the picture of it. And this is going to be what they get because mine's at my house. I actually decided not to give it to my friend. There's going to be one at the office and one at the house.
Right.
And this happened. So I don't know if this is your fault.
I don't think it's my fault at all.
Or if this is indicative of how the season could go for Pate State. This could be what happens when you pick Kyle Field as the 11th
there we go.
Best home field advantage. Or it could be that the Freights are going to have a rough fall. And I know the expectations are high over there, but who knows? They might take some unexpected L's this year, kind of like Ole Miss last year. They've got everything in place. That was their year. And then the handle breaks off and no one knows why.
So I could do something for you.
What could you do?
I could steal Elizabeth.
Take your wife's Pate State?
Yeah, she doesn't know, John.
And you could give her this and tell her she broke it in the dishwasher.
I could do that.
Okay.
I mean, that's what I would do for a friend.
We'll talk about that during the break. I like it.
Yeah. I could do that. She's not listening, guaranteed.
Yeah.
Now, people who work out with her are listening, and they're probably going to tell her. Wow. Don't worry about the table at all. Don't worry about it.
So, anywho, this is interesting. 11th, Kyle Field. I understand these stadium rankings. You never know what the person ranking them, and I haven't watched the clip yet. The stadium rankings is weird always to me. It's why I don't get worked up about it, because I did get worked up on one the other day where I saw OU on there, because I've been there. I don't think that place is a loud, intimidating place, and I've been all over the SEC and Big 12. But when I look at these rankings, it doesn't bother me, because do you rank it like atmosphere? Do you rank it off intimidation factor, atmosphere, how loud it is? Do you rank it off of their success rate? Do you combine those? Because the one thing I always hear, I think I've been all over the SEC, and I've had people, as you know, like come visit and attend games with me from all over college football, all over sports. Literally, right? Whether it's MLB, music, pro entertainment, like wrestling, WWE, whether it's NFL, NBA, people that have never been to Kyle Field. In some instances, people that have never been to a college football game, but mostly like people from around the SEC and around the country. Kyle Field is as unique, it's as loud, and it can be as daunting as any place in college football. The problem is, as you try to rank these, and this is why I can understand if someone wants to rank it a little lower, and I heard you guys talking this morning, if you're not winning as much, you go, well, what has it done for them? And that's, to me, not a knock on, you're not ranking Kyle Field in the 12th man. You're just trying to say what's their success rate at home. So it's hard to figure out how much does that atmosphere affect the other team versus how much, not having a good team is. So A&M and people that go, well, they don't win at Kyle Field, that's silly. That sounds like Longhorn logic. They've been winning some massive games at Kyle Field over the years. They don't win enough of them, and sometimes they'll lose, oftentimes, to lesser teams. I can think in recent seasons, just Mississippi State, App State, obviously. I mean, you've had some bad home losses over the years. But you've also, and this is the unfortunate truth of all this, A&M has not been, they have not been a top 20 program in the last 25 years. If you rated the 20 best in terms of success on the field, they would not be a top 20. I'm of the opinion that they should absolutely be living in that top 10. We have not yet seen it consistently. They haven't been a top 20 program. So when you're that, you're going to get upset sometimes because you don't have an overwhelming advantage on the field. And then winning games like, so they're 1 for whatever at home against Alabama. Well, Alabama is typically a much better football team. I would contend that if you look at the number of upset wins A&M's had at home since joining the SEC, it's actually impressive considering how often they're either, they're not as good as the team they're playing. And that's not a flex at all. I wish it wasn't that way. It's just the truth. So they're 1 in whatever against Alabama. Well, every single Alabama team that's come in here has been noticeably better than A&M at season's end. There's point blank, they were a better football team. But you look in the last, I don't know, big games at Kyle Field, Texas A&M tends to win. Where they screw up is these games. So they've beaten LSU 4 straight times at Kyle Field. 3 times LSU was in the top 10. 3 times they were in the top 10. They beat a number 3 Florida and Dan Mullen and Trask and Pitts. They beat, famously number 1 Alabama. Was that a national champion, Alabama?
No.
No, because Bryce Young didn't win it. Yeah, it was just they came within a minute or so beating the number 2 Clemson that won the national title. Right. I think they've beaten, they beat a number 11 Auburn team. I think they beat another highly ranked Auburn team, I believe. And then who are we leaving out?
Florida.
I said Florida. Yeah. So there's been some nice, in the last few years, some really nice home wins. I don't even count like ones like they beat Josh Rosen and UCLA when they were 15th. That was the first game. But if you come in here in a really big game setting, and again, you leave off the App State jokes here because that's the example of the other thing I'm talking about, where they've had some bad home losses. And I think that does and probably should take away from kind of you're talking about home field. I mean, Miami won like 50-something games in a row at home in their heyday. They broke a record by Oklahoma during the Barry Switzer run there. Those teams don't lose at home because they're great football teams. Yeah. I don't know what Bama's home winning streak under Saban longest was, or Georgia's under Kirby. They don't lose at home because they're great teams. So one thing has to come before the other. If you're ranking how loud it is during a big game and how intimidating that environment is during a big game and raucous and exciting and electric, Kyle Field's up there with any of them. I've been there. I've seen it. So that if I'm ranking SEC outside of A&M, I think Knoxville is my number one.
LSU
is yeah, LSU's number two. I know they get it, but I went to Knoxville during the day and I was at LSU at night. I like Knoxville for me. I like Death Valley too. Maybe the Swamp or Auburn 3.
Yeah. So Bama's not in your top 5.
They're probably right after that. I think Bama gets underrated. A lot of people act like that's not just this tremendous atmosphere.
I thought it was a great atmosphere when I went.
Yeah. I think I've always had the problem is a lot of those games I saw at Bama were like 2:00, and by the time the fourth quarter rolled around, not too much excitement.
Yeah.
But I can think of like 2012 in the fourth quarter, sun's down, Johnny and A&M are trying to hold off McCarron and the national champs, Bama. You know, they probably broke a long home winning streak that day. I remember the Haynes King game,
23.
And that was awesome. A great atmosphere. That was a night game. So, I mean, yeah, I think Bama's way up there.
I've only been to Florida once, and that was this past year, and it was a great atmosphere. But I did have the flu, so I don't know if I got to
was also
enjoy
11 a.m.
11 a.m. game.
No, it wasn't.
It was an early game. It was maybe 2:30.
Yeah, it wasn't. But I've been to a few. I'm into a few. Two games at the Swamp. It's pretty good, but again, I'm going to judge it like this is what I talk about with Kyle Field. Florida has not had a lot of like elite years in the last 10.
Right.
They just haven't. They had a couple really good ones under Mullen. A&M's had one really good one in the last 10. Florida's probably had 2. So one of the games I went to, it was Florida and A&M the year Sumlin and McElwain both got fired mid-season. So it wasn't, and it was a night game and it was fun. And I was like, damn, if these two teams were really good, I could see where, but it wasn't on that night.
All right, you've seen Texas. You already gave your Oklahoma thought. What about Texas? What's their game day like?
Texas is game day, and I haven't been in a long time. Probably hold out and go. When A&M gets there for the first time. But people that don't understand, there will come a day where I'll go to I don't know if I'll go to a neutral. I might if they're playing Georgia or Tennessee or somebody and A&M's off. That's an easy trip. I like to go on our bye weeks and go see college football games. Somehow I've never seen the Red River. That would actually be my goal, is to go see Texas OU one of these years if it times up. Last year it did time up with A&M. I should have gone and I didn't. But just watching it and just talking to people down there, here's when I know, okay, I can believe this. The Longhorns that will tell you, yeah, our atmosphere hasn't been that good. It's not what it should be. Our home field advantage, it's not great like the atmosphere. They're just usually more talented and better teams than who they're playing at home because of that Big 12 thing. But in the last few years, those same people that would have told me that, when they say, man, they've done some great things there, it's gotten a lot better, those are the people I tend to believe. Because they were the ones that would tell me it's lacking, man. And they're the ones that say, well, Kyle Field's better, or we went to, they didn't go to LSU, but wherever, and it was better. But now those same people are like, man, we're really doing some good things. And I think part of it, again, is look who they're getting at DKR now. And this was my whole take about the SEC for 12 years. Like, you guys are bringing in, I don't care what rankings by their name. It's like UCLA when they came in at number 15. How much did Aggies like truly care?
Sure.
And that was it, the only thing that saved that was Rosen calling out the 12th man. You guys were talking about Brady Cook. Rosen did it last year, or several years ago. He was the first one. And then Cook did it last season. But not smart to do, right?
No.
But in Austin, they're playing, I don't care what the ranking is, Iowa State or Baylor or K-State or, Kansas or whoever. Even like Oak State, who's a rival of Texas. They were a rival of A&M. They beat both those teams often under Mike Gundy, right? I think Texas won most of them, but they would win some games against them. West Virginia, okay, a top 10 West Virginia team. It's so much different when it's these powerhouse name programs. And so now in the last few years, you've seen Texas get Bama at home. They got Georgia at home. They're getting Arkansas at home, which is an old SWC rival. They're getting the Aggies at DK. Like, think in the last 3 years when they go Bama, Georgia, Arkansas, A&M. That is a massive difference. They had Florida last year. Even though Florida wasn't good, it's still like, oh, wow, the Florida Gators and Spurrier and Urban and Tebow and all their championships and the SEC powerhouse, they're coming. It's different. So I could see why that atmosphere is starting to get better and better. You have to kind of rise up to be a part of this league, and that's one of the benefits of it. And that's what I've tried to tell Texas and OU fans for all these years is I've been in the Big 12. I've watched it, and that was when the Big 12 was up.
Right.
They had, Bob Stoops, Oklahoma, Mike Leach, Texas Tech, Mac Brown, Texas, Bill Snyder, Kansas State. Like that league was up. RC, A&M, like it was different. And it still doesn't even come close to comparing atmosphere-wise to what you see year in, year out, week in, week out in the SEC. So I think those two fan bases are benefiting the most. And you know how I know that? Because we lived through that.
We lived through it, yeah.
I knew the first year that A&M played in the SEC, and the first game was Florida at Kyle Field, and LSU came to A&M that season, and you went to Bryant Denny, you went to Jordan Hare, you went to the Grove, all those in year one.
Yeah.
It was awesome. I mean, it was you went to Starkville in year one. Who the hell were the home games? Oh, Arkansas actually played.
I like going to Starkville. I don't like the Aggie success there, but I like going to Starkville.
Yeah, and it's one of the lesser ones, but it's a college football environment. The cowbells, the stadium's not that. It's one of the worst stadiums in the league, but like
it's cool to be.
There's atmosphere like crazy, and so I think it's going to bring up the environments in Austin and Oklahoma, but more so if Texas is going into a game that their fans think they can win against an Alabama or a Georgia, then you've got all that week or 2 weeks or a whole off season of buildup. And I think, so what are the games for A&M this year? It's interesting because I don't think there are any of those whole off season full of buildup. Last year it was Notre Dame, it was Texas. Those were the bookends. You had LSU in between.
Florida, South Carolina.
Well, Florida, South Carolina, and Auburn are all massive games. But I don't think they're ones that's my point, is you're in the SEC, and none of those teams are rivals, and none of those are like, I'm circling this the entire offseason like you did Notre Dame last year.
Right.
Or when Bama, when Bama's coming, or when you knew Texas was coming. But you look up and you go, oh, that's probably going to be at least 2 ranked football teams. Auburn, TBD, but it's Auburn and all their history and pageantry.
Yeah.
And they're going to be good. It's South Carolina with a potential Heisman candidate in Lenora Sellers. And then it's It's Florida with a potential Heisman candidate and a Texas kid and DJ Lagway.
So I'm looking at Florida's schedule. By the time you play them, which is early in the season, October 11th, early-ish, they will have played by that point LSU in Baton Rouge, go to Miami, and host Texas before they. So they'll either not be very good, or they will be a top 10 team.
Or they could go 2-1.
There's 3 options. But I mean, you see what I'm saying? The high.
Well, they could be beat up a little bit. Who does A&M play before then? They're going to play at Notre Dame. They're going to face Auburn at home. They're going to play at Arkansas, and I guess Mississippi State. So that's at home. But I mean, you look first of all at those 3. They're going to have 3. What? Who do they play? Texas, LSU, and Florida.
They open up with South Florida. Then they go to Baton Rouge. Then they go to Miami. Then they host Texas. Then they come to Kyle Field.
Okay, they got a little tougher road.
Start.
Maybe. I mean, do we know that Auburn's not going to be as good as Miami this year? That's going to be as far as Carson Beck and Peyton Thorne will take you.
Yeah.
Not Peyton Thorne. I'm sorry. Who's my
Jackson
guy?
Arnold?
Jackson Arnold. Peyton Thorne. I hate Peyton Thorne. I hate him too. I don't hate him.
Right,
I'm
nice
sorry.
guy.
I don't hate
Hey,
you,
Peyton.
Thorne. But I hated that they lost to such a bad quarterback last year.
And he
Peyton
looked
Thorne.
brilliant.
Did he beat A&M?
No.
No. Yeah, because
he came to Kyle Field and it was horrible.
Well, that first year though,
threw for like 70 yards and they benched him for Robbie Ashford.
Yeah, and the year before, Ashford beat A&M.
And beat A&M at Auburn.
Scored
yeah,
like 3 points until the final minute or two. So, yeah, I mean, do we know that Auburn's going to be better than Miami, or Miami's going to be better than Auburn?
Probably because of their schedule.
Versus Arnold.
Well, they do open up with Notre Dame.
I'm just saying it'd be just as tough. You go Notre Dame and Texas are going to be very comparable. I mean, look, I know Texas fans think they're above hearing that. One of those 2 teams played for the national title last year, and they didn't go an easy path through it.
And they beat Georgia.
They beat Indiana. They beat Georgia, and they beat Penn State to get there. That's real.
Georgia, a team that beat you twice.
Yeah, I mean they beat them with Stetson, but they out-physicaled them too.
Gunner.
Yeah, they wouldn't have beat them with Stetson. They beat them with Gunner Stockton. They out-physicaled them.
Yep.
So, what kind of names are these Georgia quarterbacks? Stetson, Bennett, Gunner Stockton, whatever happened to the days
Carson's pretty normal,
of Aaron Murray.
Aaron Murray. We got to get Aaron on the show soon. Let's hit a break. We're 7 minutes late.
Sorry.
Duck Camp. Love Duck Camp. You can wear it anywhere. You can wear it when you go fishing. You can wear it when you go to the gym. You can wear it long sleeve, indoors, outdoor, whatever. It's summertime. They have all the great clothing. You got to check them out. Keep you cool, comfortable, looking sharp no matter what. Performance-driven outdoor apparel. I love wearing it. My kids wear it. OB, his son Quinn takes his stuff all the time. Lightweight performance hoodie is fantastic. I wore one the other day. Scout shorts are great. Essential hoodie, the lightweight fishing shirt as well. So whether you're gearing up for a hunt or a fishing trip or just trying to survive September in College Station, Duck Camp's got you covered. Check out their website, duckcamp.com. You'll see what they have. I'm telling you, it doesn't matter the environment you go to. You can wear Duck Camp gear and feel that you are dressed appropriately for that event. Duckcamp.com. That is duckcamp.com. And we're back. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Billy, this is not a topic for the show, but I'm just going to bring it up. Okay. Your role model, Martin Cove.
Who the hell's that?
Cobra Kai, the sensei, the mean.
Oh, where he bit
his
John
co-star.
Kreese. Yeah, he bit the
Alicia Hannah Kim.
Yeah, he bit her during filming. I saw that. Very awkward.
The video with her like going after him and the police were there.
He seemed like he's kind of maybe not all there, and they shouldn't have trotted him out. He's like in his 80s, maybe
78.
Okay, maybe you do a couple episodes with him and kill him off on the show.
I think the show's done.
Cobra Kai never dies though, so could you really kill him off?
And apparently the new movie, horrendous. I didn't see it, but they made a movie.
There's a Cobra Kai movie?
No, there's a Karate Kid movie with Jackie Chan
Jackie Chan hadn't been good since
and Ralph Macchio.
The 90s.
Both.
I wouldn't watch that.
I wouldn't.
Unless you're going to put just Cobra Kai was the perfect television show. Perfection.
For first couple seasons.
Yeah, that's true.
It jumped the shark. All right. So CBS Sports.
I just like the whole element of these people popping up 30 years later. You just never knew who it was going to be. I always liked that. End of every season, they just
somebody new would come about. Yeah. What other movie could they do a show like that would be cool like that? They tried it with Star Wars. Star Wars was all right. What else from our youth?
I mean, does C-3PO even change in 30 years?
No, he's the same. R2 is the same.
He's a damn robot.
Yeah.
I think I've got a new nickname. It fits. Remember I was talking the other day about Olin, and if someone over here talks to him, how he...
yeah.
Who does that? C-3PO. So I think that might be his C-3PO Olin. Yeah, I mean, when he started wearing those undershirts that Irma put him in,
yeah,
he'd button it down to here and have like a white or black T-shirt under it. That's when I dubbed him 9021 Olin.
Jason Priestley.
But now he might be C-3PO Olin.
If we were 90210, who would Olin be? Ian Ziering?
I don't think who's that guy that Nate from the Peach Pit, the guy that owns the Peach Pit.
That guy had some issues. Well, I gotta get into that.
Olin could be Nate at the Peach Pit. Yeah, that's him. He's there. He's gregarious. You go in there. He's
Do you guys have any idea what we're talking about?
No. Your mom does, Ben. Your mom and I are the same age as. Graduating class with the 90210 crew.
I know it's a show, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a 90s show.
Yeah.
It was like, y'all came in here during the break and we're talking about Love Island. It was, different. It's not reality TV, but it was just one of those appointment shows every week that the whole country watched.
I saw this video that kind of tripped me out yesterday. Mr. Belding was younger than us on Saved by the Bell. I thought of him as, when I watched it.
Yeah.
We are significantly older than Mr. Belding.
Well,
he was 39.
This is the first time since I've ever been doing this that I'm older than the head football coach. Elko was nice enough to point that out recently.
I think I might be older than him too.
You're probably same age or older. What is Elko? Is he 47 or is he 48 now?
I think he's
But yeah, that's the first. That's the first. He kept getting closer and closer.
This will be the norm.
Yeah, I don't want us to hire. Well, I don't care if they hire a coach over 50, but hopefully Elko stays on for a few years, and then by then I'm like, I don't know if I want to coach over 55.
Right.
I like in this game, especially now with NIL and the portal, it's a young man's game for sure in college football.
I'm going to bring up a football topic
Just
in
ask
the next
Nick
segment.
Saban.
In the next segment, a football topic that I think you'll like to weigh in.
Okay.
All right. Milliken Reserve Time, farm to table community in College Station. Homes, trails, farms, wide open spaces with a mission to build a healthy community around nature. And they've done that by giving you 2,600 acres of open space, 30 miles of trails, and they have those beautiful homes there. An extensive network of trails throughout a wooded landscape that includes walking and equestrian paths. Awesome place to go just enjoy the outdoors with the white-tailed deer, the songbirds, the rabbits, the turtles. And homeowners at Milliken Reserve sharing a legacy of conservation, which means generation after generation, you're coming back to that pristine countryside place. Check out the website to learn more, millikenreserve.com. That is millikenreserve.com. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. So I don't know if we have time to introduce a topic here, Billy.
Okay, then let's talk about my.
But we are going to do an overtime on TexAgs.com.
Yeah, let's talk about my aggressive attempt, potentially. Thursday before Notre Dame, Chicago, check out. I've never seen it. Barstool offices, or Friday, whatever. Cubs game Friday. Notre Dame Saturday. Get up Sunday. It's a 3.5-hour drive around the lake or whatever, up Detroit. Bears, Lions, Sunday at noon. Luchador from the car.
6 p.m.
Driving Zoom while driving through Chicago.
Yeah, no signal.
No, I'd be in the passenger seat. I won't be driving. But pretty interesting.
You left out
pretty
the part.
aggressive, pretty interesting early fall weekend. You talk about, and then I'm looking at places I'd like to go during A&M's bye week, and or weeks. They have 2 of them. I really the Penn State at Ohio State is on the docket for sure, and there's also potential trips to Happy Valley or Eugene. Like, I don't know which one, but one of those 3. The Penn State, Ohio State, I think, is a bye week, but one of those 3 will be my fall trip, non-A&M, that I'm looking forward to.
You left out the part where we go
Or
a
you
few
were
days.
invited.
No, I'm not going to. No, not to that. That seems like executive people kind of thing. I'm just a lowly worker.
What are you?
I don't know. But you left out the part where maybe a few days early we go see our friend Zach and Shane.
Am I supposed? I don't want to be wrong here.
It's during a game.
Oh, I was like, I don't know who Zach and Shane are. Yeah, you mean at Notre Dame Stadium?
Our good friend Shane Gillis.
Zach, yeah,
our
you're
dear
a good
friend Shane Gillis.
You're a good friend.
Yeah,
yeah, Gillis and
Zach
Bryan. It's gonna be a hell of a show at Notre Dame Stadium. And look, they're doing that in season. Note to anyone that manages Kyle Field and tries to lord over that thing without. It's a damn shame, in my opinion, that there was no, after the success of the George Strait Parker McCollum concert a year ago and the soccer event, that we couldn't do a damn thing at Kyle Field this year. I think that's shameful, and I think that needs to change. It needs to change this offseason. Hell, I could probably get there. I can think of 2 artists that would come close that would sell a hell of a lot of tickets at this place.
Drake.
That I could just make a phone call and get the ball rolling and hand it off. And that's one person, and this is Texas A&M. It's crap. Like, I think Metallica should be here. And people that don't realize that, imagine if that was their only stop in Texas: San Antonio, Austin, Houston, Dallas. It doesn't have to be country music.
Yep.
That would be, that's when you get all the Aggies. But Cody Johnson's another one. You pair Cody Johnson with somebody, that thing sells out in an hour. And I'm exaggerating, but both of those things would bring massive crowds. And I also, look, I don't know, I'd go if it was at Kyle Field, but Savannah Bananas are selling out places all over there's a million different things you could do. I'd love to coax Garth Brooks into, last time he was here, he played at Reed Arena. I was hoping he'd do that on his college football stadium tour, but he didn't.
How about Brenham native Drake?
Yeah, he's in Brenham now. Look, those people like when I say like Metallica or Drake, the people that you don't think fit, they're not country, and we got to wear cowboy hats and boots to Kyle Field. Those people, if it's not a part of a nationwide summer tour and they're in an off situation, and they don't play Houston, Dallas, Austin, San Antonio, you put somebody here, everybody will come.
Thank you, Billy.
If you build it, they will come. Watch how many people go watch Zach Bryan and Gillis. Why are they not at Kyle Field?
TexAgs overtime as the music gets louder. See you in a second. TexAgs.com.